All right, guys, we are live. This is session 2 of the RPG construct and 4 amazing players of our ongoing Dragongrin Chronicles campaign. Session 2 is going to be called Going Native. We still got the same players here. We have Brian, Jake, Scott, and Bill be playing the same characters from session 1. We're just going to kind of jump right into things, guys. So first thing I wanted to do was just let one of the players kind of recap the first game, and then we'll get right into it. So with that, we're going to give it to Bill.
Previously on Dragongrin Chronicles, we started out with 4 of us upon a infamous pirate ship, the Crimson Sunset, all for different reasons, some traveling, some escaping from things, whatever. Still some of it to be revealed. The ship overtook a merchant vessel and killed all but one of the crew. That one was given to our group to handle as a sort of a test, which we argued about and kept him alive for the time being. During that, Tor removed a large chest off of the boat and moved it on to the Crimson Sunset for the captain, which was obviously something very important to him. However, we were unable to discover what that was, as during a bleak storm, events unraveled and our trusty Bazadar killed the first mate of the boat, which caused us to flee. Now, in a dinghy, drifting for a while, we were able to find some in the middle, crazy north, where it shouldn't be, up in the bleak area. From there, we moved inland, looking to find higher ground and ascertain more about our surroundings and figure out how to go from here. Bringing along our companion, Ryan, this merchant that we had saved from that vessel, who claims to be a copper merchant and to have ties and, offering rewards for his return to his place in Innis. While exploring this, we were, 3 of us anyways, were ambushed by a group of mongrel natives and poisoned using darts and such, knocking us all out. The only one that escaped was Halimar, who was off scouting up in trees a little distance away. Halimar himself is still at large while the 3 of us were being taken away, and he had witnessed a sacrifice by people in a nearby village, like a person offered to some sort of creature in a lake. And basically, we ended up with 3 of us going dark and Halimar unaware of our happenings.
All right. I think that, would everybody agree that about covers it all? I'm just going to assume that everybody said yes to that, so we're fine. So to begin this one, it's dawn. The sun rises slowly on the eastern horizon, casting brilliant colors into the sky and reflecting off the clouds. Both the wind and the sea are calm this morning. The water laps against the bleached hull of the ship. Distant shrieks of shorebirds ride on the wind, and a hatch opens. One of the crew of this ship comes on deck. Everything's in disarray. Everything has shifted in the previous night's storm. Broken planks and untethered ropes litter the deck. The captain comes out of his quarters, opens the door, and says, "Mr. Demas, where is Mr. Demas?" Several times, he requests the first mate's presence on deck. Several times, silence. As more members of the crew emerge, he asks if anyone has seen Mr. Demas. All shake their head in ignorance. They don't know. As the remaining sailors take their posts on deck, the 4 missing crewmen become evident. The captain goes below deck, searching for the missing crew and his first mate. He finds nothing. The captain wanders back up on deck and notices one of the skiffs missing. As he walks over to that area, on the bleached hull is a brownish stain that he has seen hundreds of times on this ship. He knows that to be blood. He crouches down to take a closer look, kind of rubbing his hand over the spot. And he knows. Immediately, he stands up quickly. He looks in each direction frantically, but all the horizons are empty. In a loud voice, he calls to his crew and orders, "Make sail! Bleakward!" And there we fade. And we find Halimar running through the jungle, silent, not making a sound as he goes through. His footsteps silent, barely able to be seen as he still has Pass Without a Trace active. He's heading back to where he knew his comrades were. And as he approaches, he finds it odd that he doesn't hear anyone. At the very least, you would just hear some talking, but you don't. As you get into the opening, the only thing you see is the skiff that they brought from the beach. There's no one there. You see a few darts on the ground. You see your bucket. You see a satchel that you know Tor used to carry. But your friends are not there. What would he do?
Halimar would kind of look around, his eyes darting back and forth around the camp. And he would first kind of look out towards the sea and have a moment of wondering if did they even end up coming with him. It seems almost surreal. A moment they were here, he only went off to scout for maybe an hour or so. Now that he's back, they're gone. But as his eyes catch one of the darts, that's when he starts to think maybe there's something more going on here. He's gonna crouch and take a look around and maybe try to investigate the scene a little bit.
Give me a survival check.
Survival? Okay.
It's not going to be too hard. Just roll a 10.
All right. 19.
Okay. As you crouch down, it's very evident to you that there were a number of people here. But the odd thing about it, they're not boot prints or shoe prints. There are those, of course, but there's hoof prints and there's claw prints. It's just this kind of combination of every type of print you could think of in the animal kingdom. And this would be very odd to you. You wouldn't know what that meant, but you would see that they were there, and it would be fairly easy to follow these prints from where they came from or where they went.
Yeah, Helmar's eyes kind of narrow as he notices these, and he runs a finger through one of the hoof prints. And he's trying to think back in his memory to think if he even knows of any creatures that would have such hooves. He's trying to recall. Would he have any idea what this could be?
Give me a nature check.
Nature? Okay. Let's see.
With your new dice roller.
Yes, I'll show you guys. My girlfriend got this for me for my birthday. It's pretty sweet. All right, nature. Let's go. Oh, that's a natural one.
Basically, with that, think your mind goes completely blank. You remember cloven hoofed animals. You remember seeing them as a child. You don't remember the names or what they were. The image is kind of vague in your head, but you have no idea what it could be.
Yeah, and I think like in his mind, it's almost like because he's very, very old. At least for an elf, he's not very old, but in general, I mean, he's been around for hundreds of years. So it's like reaching into almost like a childhood memory. You just see kind of like faint images in the back of your mind, and he just shakes his head. He's like, and he bends over and picks up the satchel that belongs to Tor and kind of slings it over his shoulder. Now, I know that one of my comrades had a sword. Is that laying around, or did that get confiscated?
No, the only thing you see right now are those darts.
Okay, he's just gonna move forward then, and his goal is to follow these footprints as far as he can and just try to figure out exactly what's going on here. He's going to be, moving stealthily as possible. Obviously, his spell at this point probably has worn off, I imagine. But, he's going to try to kind of pad after them using the forest and his own, know-how of, navigating it to try to stay as concealed as possible as he does this.
Okay, sure. Do me a favor, just very quickly, roll me a stealth check.
Stealth? Okay.
Because you are going to be trying to keep stealth.
All right, new dice tower. No more natural ones. Come on, buddy. Okay. So that's 11.
For the first 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you really don't know what direction you're in, whether it's Bleakward or east or west, but you're following these prints. And with these prints, you notice them bending to the left. They're deep, as if they're carrying something. And as you get to some different looking sand, they seem to get even deeper. The sand goes from that white, beach look to a little bit more dirty, a little bit darker, as you get more trees and the foliage becomes more dense. But your elf ears do hear something that you heard before when you were off by yourself. You start to hear the faint sound of drums coming ahead of you. Would he do anything different, or would he continue to follow the tracks?
So the drum sound is coming from the direction that I'm currently headed in?
Correct.
It does give him pause for a moment. And can I still see the sea from where I'm standing, or is it in the woods now?
You're a solid mile from the beach. Right?
Okay, so I've gone back inland, right? Or into the middle, towards the center of the island, sort of?
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure I get the picture in my mind. Okay. Yeah, he kind of leans up against a tree for a second and takes a deep breath, and he's wondering, is this worth it? Here he is. The only thing he has is a small knife, a kind of chopping knife that someone who is a chef like himself would use. Not even a sword or any armor. And he kind of stares off into the sky, and I imagine him seeing some remnants of that bleak storm still kind of crackling off in the distance, multicolored lightning, just barely, starting to dissipate. He's like, well, I'm trapped on this island. I have not much to lose. And he kind of glances. He's like, I could just take that boat, though.
Okay. Just give me 2 seconds.
Sure.
I apologize for that.
Oh, no problem.
So what did you decide to do, though, with where you were? And it's probably late afternoon right now. It's starting to get darker out. It's not dark yet. We probably have another 2 hours of light before you're not going to see it. We're not going to see it.
Right. He's pausing for just a minute here, and he's toying with the idea of maybe he should just take the boat and just try to leave. But he remembers that his odds at sea are not much better than his odds here. He could easily be swallowed up by another storm, or some sort of sea beast could rise up from the dark abyss and swallow him whole. He realizes that, honestly, if he can get his friends back, he may have a better chance of survival in general, because all their skills combined, they make a stronger team. So he takes a deep breath and then kind of just slips back into the woods, heading towards the sound of the drums beating in the distance.
Okay. Give me one more stealth check.
Sure. Okay, this time 21.
Okay. Yeah, you have no problem staying hidden in there. You begin, as you're walking, you begin to smell basically the equivalent of what would be a campfire, burning wood. You begin to smell cooking meat. And you haven't had a proper meal, not a real proper meal, in a couple weeks. You've been on the ship or you've been on the island. And this, you almost feel your stomach grumble as you come. You're not close enough to really see the details of anything, but you do see figures moving in the distance. You got to this, for lack of a better phrase, village right before dusk. It is getting darker. It is getting more difficult to see. But you're also more difficult to see. The only thing you can see right now through the trees are just the walls of 3 or 4 huts with thatched roofs. And people in the distance, humanoid figures, walking, carrying palm fronds, carrying coconuts, random wood and things like that, just bustling about, and with a few torches lining the side of each hut.
I think that his instinct here would be, if they had captured his friends and weren't currently roasting them, that they probably would put them somewhere a little bit farther away from their homes. That would be his instinct to think that, because he knows that if he had taken prisoners, he wouldn't want them right there, near the huts and where the children and women sleep, just in case something happened with the prisoners. So he's going to kind of skirt the little settlement here and see if he can find the pens that they might be trapped in, or any sign of anything different than the kind of residential huts and stuff that he's currently seeing.
And as you do that, we kind of fade to where the other 3 are. And the first to open his eyes would be Tor. And he would slowly open his eyes, but at this point it's dark. You can see 2 glowing embers, like torches, probably 50 feet away, against what looks to be a wooden kind of palisade wall. And you've been thrown into what seems to be a cage of bamboo and vines. There's another person in there with you. It almost reminds you of how you were in the front quarters of the ship. Razir is still unconscious, almost laying across you. Boz has been given his own box. You can see him several feet away. You can also see a dozen or so other cages of different sizes with humanoids, dwarves, humans, gnomes, and orc, but all seem like they've been here for a long time. Their clothes are tattered, they're frail, they're skin and bones, they're bearded. They look like they're at the end of their lives, all of them. And one in the distance, a very far, it's almost the opposite end of this enclosure. You see a man who doesn't look as far off as everyone. Almost looked like he was a recent capture. And you notice, even in the distance, that this man with no shirt is heavily tattooed, with 2 distinct markings on his hands. You're too far away to notice the specifics of it, but you can see obviously that they're there as he is sitting right under one of the torches. What would Tor do?
Tor would groggily wake up, take slow stock of the area, as you said, kind of glancing around first before he makes any moves. Look over at Razir, and he's going to poke him, and quietly, trying to not alert people that he's awake. Hey, Pointy Head. Are you there? Wake up. Wake up, Pointy Head.
Just a few more minutes.
Shh. Quiet, little one. Wake up. We're in some cage.
What's going on? I remember being stung by a bee. I think it was a bee.
No bee. They darts. They shot us with something. Either way, we're in some camp. Boz is over there. They're gesturing towards where Boz would be. I don't see you, Ryan. But we're not in a good place. I don't like this.
And go ahead.
I feel like I have the whole sphere of mountain sitting on my head. How do you feel, bro?
Oh, like I drank a whole keg of the moonshine my uncle used to make. And then followed it up by another one. Not so good.
And a few minutes later, Boz would slowly come to as well. He would notice all the same things, notice that the darkness, he would notice the torches, and he would notice that he's in basically a cage by himself. What would Boz be doing or thinking?
Big cousin, why are you kicking me in the head? Oh, get off my head. And then he opens his eyes and he sees that he's alone in the cage. Everything in. Oh. No, that hangover like this. Well, ever.
I don't know, little cousin, but I do not like it. We need to figure out a way out.
And as you guys start talking and kind of, you're several feet away, so you see the palisade kind of gate swing open, and two cloaked humanoids kind of scurry swiftly towards you, both brandishing spears. As they get closer to the torches, you notice that these two are mongrel men, but they're different. They're not like the ones that you saw on the beach. These are bigger, probably 6 feet tall, broader. These are built for something different. These are not something that's going to gracefully go through the forest. These are kind of lumbering beasts, for lack of a better phrase. And they come up to your cages and they yell at you in this unknown language, kind of almost like an animalistic guttural, and they keep kind of pointing their spears at you. It's pretty obvious that they want you to shut up. What would the three of you do?
Don't point that little thing at me. You put me in here. Why don't you get me food? Something smells good. Go.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Scott.
Is there any like totems around that have like animal figures or anything? What do we see around?
Well, right now it's darkness. Really, what it would look like to you is probably a 50 to 60 foot circle of 10 to 12 foot high bamboo, columns. and every few feet have kind of a torch valance to illuminate everything. There's really nothing in there except these cages. Said they're spaced out, some big, some small. Besides you guys, there's probably another dozen prisoners here. But it is nighttime. The only thing you see right now is those guards. And you are several feet away from the walls. You're almost all kind of, probably 5 or 10 feet from each of the walls.
Well, big man, I don't think we're going to get anything from these guys. So let's see what happens when I do this. And he just takes and wraps his hands across the bars. That way, it almost makes almost like a xylophone effect. And it's gonna cast like a minor illusion of a giant white ape. Yes, Jacob, just for you. The illusion of a giant white ape to see their reaction. See if we can't just get them to go away, because we obviously aren't going to get anything from them, and we might be able to talk to the people around us and get some answers if we can get these guys to go away.
Let me see. One of them, in seeing this ape just, I guess, on top of this wall is what you want it?
Yeah, just kind of like over by like us, almost like a protective haunching over like a big, massive, like 12 to 15 foot giant white ape, matted fur, big tusk.
You probably couldn't make it that big, but one of them would drop his spear and make a beeline for those gate, basically screaming. The other one holds his ground. The other one kind of narrows his gaze at it, and he walks and he takes his spear, which is probably 6 feet long, and kind of juts it out. Seeing that it passes straight through, he almost snorts and as that illusion fades. It doesn't last for when he checks it out, and he looks at you, and the more humanoid side of his face, you almost see a little smile, and he looks at you and and just he takes a step back. He almost found it humorous, and he turns, and you don't understand the language, but it's obvious that he's going after his fellow guard, his comrade that was with him, almost saying, "Hey, you don't have to worry about it," just motioning for that. But he does leave and closes the gates behind him.
Hey, Big Ben, can you reach that spear?
I can try.
How far away?
Probably about 3 feet. Tor could probably reach it.
Then Tor would reach out to fingertip grasp, grab it, slowly pull it in, and hand it over to Razir.
Okay.
Well, one up for us. At least we have a weapon now. Let's see if we can't get out of these cages. What exactly is holding them together? Is it just like
just vines? Just vines. They're it's something that you could absolutely just cut with the spear if you wanted to. You couldn't just rip them off with your hands, but you could cut them for sure.
Well, I guess the real question is, guys, do we want to attempt to escape in like right now, or gather some info? How long are we prepared to stick around here? And should we free everyone around us and create a complete ruckus that we might be able to escape with?
I'd rather not be in here any longer than I'd have to be. What about you, little cousin?
I would not think it a good idea to arrive without a plan. Now, Tor and Razir are in one cage.
Correct.
I'm in the next cage. And then you said there were a bunch of other humanoids in other cages. Are we like all in a line, kind of away from this wall?
You are, but you're kind of staggered in kind of like a semicircle. Everyone can see everyone, except for that one that's kind of off in the distance, very very close to the.
Who's in the cage closest to me that's not here?
You see,
or what?
You see a very, very kind of skin and bones human, to the best that you can see. You can see his ears; they're not pointed. You can, but he looks like he's sleeping. But for all you know, he could be dead. He looks that bad in the torchlight. He looks just emaciated.
If I reach out, can I grab up like a small rock or something?
Like a pebble or something. Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, nothing big, and I'm not trying to bludgeon anybody. I just want to pick up a few stones, and just kind of start plinking, see if I can get this human, get him to stir.
Sure. And he would kind of swipe away. What? And
Wake up!
What? Who?
Who are you?
Who?
Where do you come from?
I need to sleep. And he turns back.
Come on, little cousin.
He turns away from you.
Do not bother.
What's the bottom of this cage like?
The same thing as the walls are. You couldn't dig out or anything.
So bars.
Yeah, it's basically like the bamboo, yeah.
How big is this cage?
Yours is probably 4x4. It's probably a 4-foot cube. It's pretty tight.
So theoretically, if I were to stand up and put my feet between the bars, could I grab them and pick it up and walk it somewhere else?
That's interesting. I would think that it would be maybe for a step or two, but it would probably be very heavy. I'm sure they would have thought of this, but I'm sure you could probably get a step or two in.
I'm an ordained dwarf. And I have very many muscles. I'm thinking Boz is rapidly realizing he's not going to get anything from this human. And the only one who seems to have any awareness is this mysterious figure on the far side. And that's kind of what he's thinking is, he's not getting out of this thing easily, but maybe he can just kind of like pick it up and kind of waddle up closer to that guy.
Okay.
Little cousin.
Go ahead.
If you're going to walk, it defeats the whole purpose of not cutting out. We might as well just get out. Besides, if they see that,
the same thing.
Yeah, if they see
What are
the
they gonna
pointy
do?
thing with your eyes,
What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Throw me in jail?
Well, if they find the spear, they take the spear.
And then
You
we're
have the
at- with
spear.
our
I have
weapon.
nothing. You keister the spear if you must. Hide it. I'll be right back. So I'm gonna pick up the cage and try walking over there.
As he's walking over, I go to the back of our cage and I just cut it so that way it kind of almost swings open in the back. And I'm like, "Stay here, big man." And I sneak around the back, like as he's waddling his way across the thing.
As you pick this up and you take a single step, Boz, you hear from the direction of that one guy that you're trying to head towards, "Sit down. They will be back. Don't give them a reason. Sit down."
I'm gonna stand there, still holding the cage up. What are they planning to do to us? And who are you?
"We don't have time. Sit down." And you see him just lean ever so, just maybe 6 inches closer to you, and you can see just from the torchlight that this humanoid is a human. You can see very clearly half of his face kind of lit in the torch. He says, "I know of the stubbornness of dwarves. Listen, they will be back. Bide your time, or you will end up like these poor fools."
Boz will reluctantly return to his position. But just before he sets down his cage, he looks at the human, looks at the rest of the emaciated and haggard figures, and says, I will never end up like them. I will die before I end up like that. And then will thump his cage down and just kind of sit cross-legged with his arms crossed. Basically pouting.
He hears you say that, says, strong words. They said that too. We'll see. And tell your demon friend to get back in his cage. He might last a few weeks if he does what they say. If not, he'll be the next taken.
Well, before I go back and do that, let me just... And I cut the loops on his so that way the back of his swing open. So that way when we decide to, remove ourselves from this predicament, perhaps you could follow. You seem to have a little bit of wits about you. We could use that on this island. And then I'll slowly scurry back to our cage and I'll slit the back of Boz's as well.
Any sign of Ryan, just out of curiosity?
No, Ryan is not here. Ryan is not here at all. See him.
Any sign of Halimar? Is he in any of these cages?
Halimar is not in any of the cages. That is something that all of you would notice. You don't recognize, but you wouldn't know where he is either.
At least there is a little bit of hope.
And
Razir.
Go ahead.
Razir, can you hide that somewhere, like, along the bamboo so it looks like it's part of them? Might be useful. Pointing at the spear.
I do believe I can, and I'll prop it up against the wall, and it only lasts for a minute. So I'll prop it up against the wall and try to hide it as best I can, and as like a trigger effect. As soon as they come walking in, as soon as those gates open and they walk in, I'm going to cast illusion on the spear, a minor illusion on the spear to hide it even better.
Okay. You said that lasts for a minute?
Yeah. So when they come in.
Okay. So a few minutes pass, and you hear, coming from that human, here they come. And about 30 seconds later, the gates swing open, and half a dozen of these mongrel men come in, pushing the guard that ran away, pushing him, and they're obviously very angry. They're obviously very upset with him, and they throw him in the farthest cage at the end. And they slam it, and they basically wrap the cage up and lock him in. The one guard that did not flee, you can see them kind of congratulating him, patting him on the shoulders. Obviously, he's being praised for what he did. And then he goes over to Razir, and he points his spear at him. And the other 5 mongrel men go over to the cage, and they unlatch your cage. And they motion for you to come out, Razir.
Oh, me? You want more magic? And then I'll slowly step up and walk out. I'm gonna have to follow him. And I'll kind of look back and kind of nod my head at the guys, knowing, like, you know where this thing is hidden. You guys know that your doors are open. Make it out if you can, I guess.
So you're gonna go with them?
Don't have all too much of a choice.
Okay. They motion for you to get in between them all. They basically encircle you as they latch the cage behind them, and they walk you out of this, of this palisade. And they walk you through this village. Again, it's still dark. You see multiple fires, big roaring fires. You see hundreds of people, all almost look constructed. Some look reptilian, some have fur, some have claws, some have, horns. They're kind of a hodgepodge of every creature that could possibly be in Dragongrin. You've heard of these before, but you've never seen them. Most have heard of the mongrel men, but very few have ever had encounters with them. You are brought to a hut. The hut has a dirt floor, probably 7 feet in circumference, thatched roof, kind of mud walls, with a torch, one torch inside that brightens it. They put a kind of a sack over your head as you enter, right before you enter. And you can feel them tying your hands behind your back. And they put your back to a pole, and they tie your hands around it, behind you. You feel someone else's as well. And you hear, "Hey, who's that? Who's that? Who is that?" Speaking to you, Razir.
It is I, Razir. Who is this, and how long have you been in here? Seems quite charming.
You don't recognize my voice?
I was hoping it wasn't. How long have you been in here?
Ever since I woke up. They were chasing me, and I tried to fight them off, but there were too many, and I tried to, reason with them, and they wouldn't, and I woke up in this hut, and no one has seen anything. There's some disgusting creatures walking around. They're grotesque, aren't they?
Yeah, the best thing to do when captured is to insult your captives. You're doing a hell of a job, and I'm sure you fought them off bravely with those, dainty hands of yours. What have you heard, if anything? Witnessed?
As I said, the only thing I know is I was brought in here. I woke up and I was in here. They kept touching my robes. They kept, I don't know, maybe they thought they were nice. I mean, they are. They're very expensive. But I've just been in here. What have you seen?
I know they like magic, so we might have that in our favor, and apparently they like the fineries in life. So we have some info to work on. I was able to obtain a spear earlier when I frightened off some of them. Boz and Tor have that. We have no clue where Halamar is, but he was scouting ahead, so hopefully we have a man on the outside working his way in. So we have a plan that is coming together, possibly. But let's see if you can't use those dainty little hands of yours, kind of wiggle around a little and free my hands.
And if I free your hands, what are you going to do? Where are we going to go? It's the middle of the night. There's hundreds of them out there. Are you stupid?
Only a little bit. Free my hands.
Give me a sleight of hand check, Raz.
Looking at 18.
You would absolutely, with that, be able to loosen your bonds, or at least wiggle. But you didn't realize that they had tied you to Ryan. So in actuality, your twisting and turning actually loosened his ties, not your own. He is able to get his hands free. You are not. And he looks at you and he says, "I thought you were going to free yourself. I don't know how to do this." And he kind of turns and fiddles with your things, but he's like, "Oh, I don't know what to do with my hands. Just get yourself out."
Looky here. If you don't free my hands, then they're going to take yours. Do you want claws? Do you want little pinches? Because that's what's going to end up happening here. You think these people were put together from random pots they found washed up on shore? Do something.
Ryan takes a deep breath, and you can't see, but you hear him kind of, and he falls to his knees and starts sobbing, just bawling. Why would you say that? But I'm not a fighter. Why would you say that? And he just starts crying and whining.
In about 2 seconds, your pitiful excuse for self-loathing is going to attract them, and they're going to find you sitting there wallowing in your own self-pity.
And as you say that, the guard walks in, and you hear him again in that guttural kind of animalistic voice just yell, and they grab Ryan and they pull him out, but not before making sure that your bonds are still secure. And we fade now back to Halamar. And you've been kind of going around the perimeter, and you saw Razir being taken out of this holding area. Unless it was some other tiefling with horns being taken out. But you heard him kind of bickering in his kind of smart-ass way, and you knew that it was him. So you see where he came out of. What would you like to do?
I think the first thing that happens to Halmar is he breathes a sigh of relief. Like, just knowing that even Razir is alive is a big relief to him, because I think at this point, if he's been scouting this place for a bit, he's feeling kind of overwhelmed with the fact that, infiltrating this would not be very easy. I imagine I've seen like the guards moving about and stuff out of the palisade area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think he's trying to figure out exactly how he should approach this. He's kind of glad that his instincts were right, that they would be offset from the rest of the kind of residential huts and stuff. Now, the hut that they went into with Razir, is this before that the guys walk back in, or am I seeing that happen?
No, you're seeing them. Wait, I mean, the guys walk in when? I'm sorry.
Didn't you say that after? Oh wait, they just left, right? Didn't they just come out of the hut, and that's when that whole scene with Ryan happened?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna wait until they're kind of like gone a little bit, and then I'm gonna try to sneak into the hut.
Okay. You're probably looking in. So would you try to go around the back? Would you try to go through the front? What would you?
I guess like the question would be like, what would be strategically the best way? Like, looking through Halmar's eyes, what would I see as far as that goes?
Again, it's dark outside, and although you would be able to see, you would just see a bustling village.
Yeah.
There's no opening except the front of this hut.
Okay, I have an idea then.
Okay.
Is there any sort of like, it's kind of a weird question, but does anyone have any clothes hanging out to dry, or skins up, like kind of like maybe tanning in the sun, like that maybe they were tanning in the sunlight? I guess at this point he's looking for something to like veil himself with.
Yeah. I think you'd be able, if you went around a little bit, sure, you could see something, sure.
Okay, so I guess my goal here is to find like maybe because you said some of them were cloaked, like a dirty cloak or something, and just kind of slip it on. Then he's gonna kind of like walk like a hunchback towards the hut and try to like, I guess deception is my goal here. I don't necessarily want to be like stealthy, but I want to be more like blend in and look like I'm kind of supposed to be there.
Okay, sure. Then I would say just a little bit up past that hut, kind of in the back of these, there would just be kind of strung up vines that people had some, maybe some like burlap type of, fabric, some cloaks around.
Yeah, so he kind of slips on this kind of scratchy, maybe jungle like fiber plants and stuff, and it's not anything nice, but he definitely slips it over and kind of fails it over his head, and he's gonna just try to look as mutinous as possible in his movements, and he's gonna kind of like approach the hut cautiously and then just try to go right in there if he can.
Roll me a 1d4, please.
Okay. A 2.
Okay. The cloak comes about to the back of the back of your thighs. It doesn't go all the way down. It's a little bit too small for you, but it does cover your head. And when you're doing this, would you be walking a certain way? Describe how you would be trying to sell yourself as a mongrel.
So I mean, I guess it would be like if he would, as he's observed these creatures, do they all walk? Because they're all kind of like patchwork kind of creatures, right?
They're all different. Some look perfectly fine unless you get close. Some are just completely one leg 3 times the size of the other, and it's kind of hobbling. So any of them, especially at night, you have an advantage here.
Yeah, he's going to like basically, if I had to describe it, like one of his legs is going to seem like it's lame. Like he's going to drag it a little bit, almost like he has a limp, or maybe his ankle is twisted or something. And then dip one shoulder down. So he's kind of shuffling, I guess, dragging his foot behind him. Just doing his best to try to seem, as mutinous as possible. So
give me a deception check.
Okay. Let's see. Here we go.
Whole lot of skill checks starting off.
I know, and I have a +1. Oh, I dropped my die. Okay, here we go. That's a 12.
Okay. I think you would make it to the front of the hut. You're kind of keeping your head down and not really. It's dark, so they can't really see you very, very well. I think you would make it to the front of the hut, but there would be a guard standing there, and he would kind of motion, basically take a step between you and the entrance of the hut, and he would look at you and he would say, "Jose, Dima," and he would point his spear away from the hut.
Yeah, and kind of realizing that maybe I didn't see the guard before, or because it is dark. Instead of like trying to get past it, he kind of shuffles sideways and like almost falls over and like makes like a kind of guttural sound, like emulating like he's like angry or something, and then shuffles back, and like I guess I'm gonna try to skirt around the hut, but not in an obvious way. As like I guess casually as you can be as a mongrel man.
well, this particular hut is a little bit away from the main village. It's not in like the main square or anything. There's probably no other mongrel men or anyone that you can see within probably 40 feet. It's a pretty dimly lit area there.
All right, so I think what he's going to do is he's going to go to the side of the hut and just start kicking it like with his good leg.
Okay.
And while he's doing that, his little like knife he has that like up his sleeve, like kind of like I guess up his sleeve, or he's like ready. He has it ready. Okay. But it's not out in the open. Like he's going to slide it down. But yeah, he's trying to like get this guy to like kind of come over to him and like, and then he's going to, as soon as he gets within like arm's reach, I'm going to just attack him. So.
Okay. Make an attack roll.
All right.
That's funny, Jake.
So we got all right. It's +5. Let's see if I can hit him. 18 + 5.
Yeah, you absolutely hit him. Roll me some damage, probably 1d4.
Yeah, I imagine it's like a dagger. Oh, that's 3 damage.
Okay. And where would you hit him?
Oh, sorry, 4, because I have a +3 modifier.
Where would you hit him?
Like, he's not wearing any sort of like armor, is he? Or like, what's he dressed in?
Right now it's pretty much maybe like some like woven like burlap, trunks, like shorts, and this cloak. That's it. It's
so like depending on how tall this guy is compared to Halimar, he would probably go for like the inseam of his like leg or maybe his ribs, like try to jam one in between his ribs or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, doing like a real quick like shanking type style stab.
And as you do this, you don't kill him. Your knife kind of sinks in, and he lets out this incredibly loud howl. And you look up, and as his cloak the hood of his cloak falls back, you can see he's got kind of a dog or wolf type face.
Okay.
He sounds just like a wolf. And he looks at you and he growls after he howls, and he takes a swing at you with one of his arms. What's your AC?
That's a 13 because I don't have any armor on.
Okay, he does hit you with his arm, and he's going to hit you for 3 points of bludgeoning damage. And I'm just picturing that as he gets it, you're so close, he just takes his arm and just whacks you in the side of the head with it. And as this happens, you probably have one more chance to make maybe one more attack, but you can hear people coming. They're not hiding it.
Yeah. His goal at this point is to like try to fell this guy and then get Razir out of there. So yeah, he's gonna just go for the kill here if he can.
Cool.
So that's 17
hits
for hit.
Yep.
That's 6 piercing damage with the knife.
That would kill him. How do you slay this guy?
So the guy, you said he swung at me with his fist and hit me like, and it's I would imagine Halmar, his head, he's a kind of a thin and wiry elf, like it almost picks him off his feet the way he gets clobbered, and he gets slammed up against the side of the hut, and I imagine it's kind of like this mud brick, so it's like flaking and cracking, and then just cuts this guy like right from his inseam of his crotch all the way up his belly with a knife, and then kicks him over, like more pushing him with his foot, because I imagine the guy kind of like stumbles forward like when his muscles and stuff get severed by the cut, right. And he just kicks him face first into the mud, and then he darts into the hut.
Okay. As you dart into the hut, you can hear people right behind you. You can hear people coming. And as you duck in, right behind you, you feel something just kind of whack you on the back of the neck, kind of like sting you. And you start to get a little bit dizzy. And you collapse in the hut with Razir. You are unconscious, as the others were.
I imagine, like, if you don't mind, like, so I get hit with it and I stumble and I'm like, Razir, and then I just fall sideways, like and like the little, like, the hood kind of like flaps off, and like you just see me laying there, like my hands all bloody with the knife in it.
Absolutely. So they would, you would be unconscious, but Razir would see that they pretty much did to you what they did to the other one. They tied you up, and they would carry you out of the hut and into that holding area. And they would toss you in the cage with Tor. What would Tor and Boz be saying or doing when you saw that he came in?
I would imagine Tor would get silent as he sees these doors swing open. You saw Razir get pulled away, and though he feels like he would like to be able to help him, he knows that getting taken away would not be the way to do it. So he's going to sit in such a way, or maybe stand probably in such a way that he's blocking the view of where that spear is hidden, and just kind of wait silently and carefully there, glancing, trying to size them up.
What would Boz be doing?
So we see them bringing Razir back and Halamar.
I'm sorry. They were actually bringing Halamar back, not Razir. I'm sorry, I missed.
Oh, just Halamar.
Just Halamar.
Oh, great. We're almost back together.
And hearing that, the human in the corner, you would hear him just kind of chuckle under his breath. Was that your great savior? Is that who you were depending on? You believe me now? How would Boz respond?
He's a great elf. He's probably pretending to be asleep. He probably has very, very good plan. Right? Halamar? Halamar. You have plan, right? See, he's got a plan. We're good.
You would the rest of this evening would go without without event. It would be very calm. This was probably the middle of the night that all this happened, and as the sun rose again, you got a better look at where you were, and you can see the height of the circle of bamboo around you. You can see how terrible the other prisoners look. You can see how there's really no way to really get out of this from where you are, except through that gate. And you notice that they change guards every few hours. But it seemed to you that one set was always larger than the other. Razir would wake to the guards undoing his bonds, and they would motion again for him to come. And they would bring you into one of the larger tents, Razir. And you would see Ryan standing there in front of you. And he would be just waiting, just kind of looking at you. You can see in his eyes that he's terrified. What would you say to him?
Well, first things first, walking in, he would just have that, like, he'd be shoved in, he'd look up and see him and just be like, like he just can't get away from this guy. This guy is going to be the detriment of his life. But he shoves in and, all right, what is happening now? What has happened? You obviously look like you need a new pair of shorts. What?
He says, I don't know. They brought me in here. I think I reached them. I told them my story last night, and they were very nice to me. They didn't tie me up anymore. They just let me sit here, and they were very nice. They were very nice, but they just told me to wait, so that's what I did.
Is he still in his fineries?
He's still in his fineries, and a few seconds after that, behind you, all three of your companions are brought into the hut as well. For the first time since the campsite, you guys are all together. And it is very clear as the guards fill in the back of this hut. It's probably big enough for 20 or 30 people. It's quite large. There's a large seat made of animal skin and bamboo and flowers. Just beautiful at the other end of the hut. You're about halfway there. But the back of the hut, which is the only exit that you see, is now filled with probably a dozen guards. You're not going to go out that way again. And you hear the guards begin to chant, Grando, Grando, Grando. And you see them all fall to their knees and bow as, but you can only see as a flamboyantly dressed with feathers and flowers and kind of finery, pieces of clothing sewn together, but only about 2.5 feet tall, kind of shimmies up into this throne. The one distinctive feature you notice is his green skin and his very large ears. And he looks at all of you and he says, which one of you killed my guard?
I did.
Why did you kill?
Why did you kidnap my friends?
I didn't kill anyone. I asked you a question. Answer me.
It's very simple. He was my enemy.
Your
And you
enemy.
kill your enemies, do you not?
You believe us to be your enemy.
Well. Let's
I wasn't done with that one. You'll get your turn, demon.
always fun.
How? You say we are your enemy. Perhaps we are your savior. You had nothing on that ship or in that boat. Where were you going to go?
Well, that is a good question, and that's not an answer we have at this moment. However, I believe, and I could be wrong, but my people are very pragmatic, you see. If you save someone, it's usually by their own consent, or at least in a way that is, well, you don't fill them with poison darts and throw them in cages. That's not saving someone. So I'm sorry if there was a misunderstanding, but I perceived through the way that I was taught that you are my enemies.
Ah, so you kill first, and you ask questions after. That is good to know on this island. I have nothing else to ask you. And he turns to the rest of you. Do all of you believe us your enemy as well?
You have surely not shown yourself to be friends.
That doesn't answer my question. Do you believe we are your enemies?
Yes.
At least until you show us differently, as this gracious showing here has done, bringing us together and actually speaking to us. You know, you are well on your way of persuading us of different. Play along, guys. This is a show. And he would whisper, kind of like under his breath, to these guys, to be some close to him. Now, my good sir, obviously there has been a misunderstanding. I'm sorry, this gentleman has killed one of your men, and he was only doing it with the best intentions that he thought was right at the time. But you know, perhaps we can talk, break bread, eat a meal, get to know each other, and we might have something to help each other.
Perhaps you are not our enemy. And he very quickly turns his eyes to Tor. And you, my large friend, are we your enemy?
I have no real enemies. Do not like fighting. I hope that more bloodshed is not necessary here. We escaped from a bad situation, and we found ourselves attacked by little pointy darts. It did not instill us with much confidence that this was a party.
And as everyone, again, is still bowed behind you, still on their knees, Ryan has a moment of bravery. And you see him with this kind of swagger that you've never really seen in him before. This, not just a pompous, spoiled child, but just somebody that really is confident. And he goes to this creature and he says, "What will it take? What will it take to get us off of this island? My friends, They'll take you out easily if I ask them to. Snap my fingers, and you would be destroyed before any of your guards could get here. Now, maybe you think that you'd survive, but you wouldn't. Believe me, I know about these things. Perhaps we could talk business. And in just emotion, you see this goblin look at one of his guards and go, and one of his guards very quickly comes up and grabs Ryan by the back of the neck and begins to pull him out of the hut. Would you react at all?
Whoa. Please just ignore the ignorant, dumb one. He's the bane of all of our existence, but he may have something that we need once we get off this island. Other than that, I would want to be the one to slit his throat right about now. But just ignore him. He's an ignorant person. And if you want to remove him from the tent, that is more than acceptable, and we'll all appreciate it here. But please don't kill him just yet. At least, if you're really going to, wait a little while and let us participate. I got a couple punches I want to throw myself.
He listens to you and kind of turns his head a little bit. He says, "You are not one of my enemies today. You ask for mercy for this Cretan. He wants business. We have no business. He wants to be in charge. We have no one in charge. I will throw him in a cage and he can rot. You," he points to Halamar, "and you, Boz, you two can be in the cage as well. Enjoy your stay. Until such time that you prove that you are not our enemy." And he motions for the three of you, Ryan, Boz, and Halamar, to be removed from the tent.
What is it that you want from us?
We will speak about that as friends when the enemies have gone.
Tor will glance at them. He's reluctant to let them split up, but he also feels that he should take an opportunity to at least understand them a little more before. So he'll kind of look at them and nod to them like, I will do my best, but knows that his best chance is out here.
Boz,
as one of the guards comes to grab Boz, he would see Boz's eyes flare with just a flicker of purple with a flash of red in it. And Boz would simply point at the guard that's about to grab him and command him, "Don't." And I'm actually casting command.
Okay.
Which is a wisdom saving throw for the guard.
Okay. What's the DC?
DC is 12.
Okay. He rolled a nat 20. He hears you and completely ignores what you say. It has no effect on him whatsoever, and he grabs and begins to pull you out of the hut with Halamar.
I said don't. I said no. I've reconsidered my answer.
But boss, it's okay. Me and the big man here, we'll talk to them, and it's better to have two on the inside than just one, and we'll get this all straightened out, and we'll just use better manners from now on. Yes.
The last thing you would hear Boz say as he's pulled out of the tent or hut or whatever is, "I don't like cages."
And Boz would go out. What would Halamar be doing? What would he be saying?
Nothing really. He would just be glaring at the creature and And he would sigh and just kind of go with the flow because he realizes that, sometimes his very direct and honest approach isn't always the most. So he thinks it's better that maybe Razir and Tor handle it. They're a little bit more cordial with people.
And this goblin would see your glare. This isn't something that he's had recently. Maybe in his life he has, but everyone here respects him. He's obviously a leader here. And he jumps down off of his makeshift throne, and he walks towards you. And he goes up to you, and he motions you to come down to him, because he's probably only 2.5 feet tall. Would you come closer?
Yeah, he would lower himself a little bit.
And he would say, "We have no room for my enemies in this place. I will show your friends what happens to those who are our enemies."
Well, Halimar was saying, his hands are bound, right? I imagine right now, Halimar.
No, absolutely not.
Oh, and well, he would look at the creature and he would say, "I make a good friend, but I think that it would start off with us coming to an understanding first. I don't want to be your enemy. I didn't want to kill that man either. But I will do anything it takes to protect my friends. Would you not to do the same for yours?" And he kind of looks around at if there's any other guards in the room. "Would you not give your life or fight to the last drop of blood in your body for those that you deem your friends?"
He looks at you, and he looks at all of his guards. He says, "In fact, each one of them gave their life for me."
Then I hope you understand why I did what I did. I'm not asking for your forgiveness, but I am telling you this. I won't kill your people or fight them if they treat me with respect. And I will treat them with equal respect back. It was a misunderstanding."
You speak of respect. You speak of understanding. You speak of peace. And yet your first inkling was to kill and be my enemy. You will be judged.
Very well.
And
that's your error.
And with that, he says, "Until the sun is at its highest, you will all go back to where you were. We will come and judge you at that time. Make your peace before then." And he just motions for you all to go. And the guards escort you all 5 of you back to that little enclosure with the bamboo. And you are all now in individual cages by yourselves. And as you walk in, that human says to Boz, who he's the only one he's been speaking to, "How many of you are there? What do you have now? 5? 6? How many of your crew made it?" Boz, he's talking to you.
Sorry, you cut out for a second there, and I did not hear what you said.
Sorry about that. He looks at you as you get thrown in the cages, and the guards go back, and he says, "How many of you are there? How many crew survived from the ship?"
Who's this talking?
This is the human.
Okay. Sorry
if I cut out.
I think it was me. I think I froze. Okay. Sorry, for a second I thought the guard was asking me. I'm not telling him, Jack. You have seen us. The big one, myself, the elf, and the demon head one. And that annoying one is with us too. The 5 of us are all that made it.
He would say, did they take you before the chief? Did you see that little cretin?
The snotty-nosed green one?
Yeah, that's him.
I don't like him.
What did he tell you? What will be done with you?
We will be judged.
He kind of, squints his eyes. You say, you will all be judged?
Yeah, and you see Halimar, he's in his cage and he's sitting cross-legged, like meditation style.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, that's what he said. It seems that when I came to rescue my friends, I killed one of the guards, and that did not make him very happy.
Well then, my friend, you probably won't be around much longer.
Maybe not.
Those who are judged don't return. Do you know where they go? Do you know what that means?
How much does it truly matter? They could kill me, and there's not much I can do about it at this point.
What do you know, tattooed man? My friend here might be set in his ways for demise, but information usually is the key to winning a battle.
He would say, you speak of battle. There won't be one here. I was on this island for almost a year before they caught me. All of my crew, all on my ship, ended up here. We heard his lines about friends and enemies, and we believed him. I'm the only one left because I ran. I lost my way. I made a stupid decision, and they caught me. But I evaded them for almost a year. They're not that smart. But everyone who was judged, everyone never returned from that place.
Can I insight him, please?
Sure.
I just don't. I have this inkling. I don't really trust this guy, and it's probably not going to be that good, which is the worst part. Yeah, 7.
Yeah, this is just a story to you. You can't really tell either way. It sounds convincing. It sounds like he's telling the truth, but
the tattoos mask his facial features. I can't catch the little natural tics that everybody has. On a secondary note, we're in the same cages. Did they happen to restrap the backs and all that? I'm asking only because... And is the spear still there? You're going to say no to all of it, but asking anyways.
No, I'm saying the spear is probably still there because they don't know that they're unlocked. I'd say the cage that you're in and the cage that Boz is in are still cut at the back. The other ones are locked, though. But there are still 2 guards posted on the inside of the cage now. And he would look at Tor and he would say, I once knew one like you. By the time they judged him, he was half the size that you are now. They will break you until you give up. And when you give up, you are taken. Do not give up.
What are these creatures? Have you learned anything about their origins?
Their origins, no. They were here when my crew ran aground here. There's a large reef on the west side of this island. We ran aground. We had a crew of 30. Everyone made it off the boat. We thought we had found paradise. We found this tribe. We lived here for a while. And then they started going missing, one by one over time. And the odd part was, I realized that those that went missing, parts of them returned. I remember one of my best friends. His name was Rel. He had a tattoo covering his entire right arm. He went missing. The chief said he had been judged. And 2 weeks later, on a new member of the tribe, I saw that tattoo. I saw that arm. Peace with nothing that looked like Rel. Nothing of who he was before, just the arm and just that tattoo. I don't know what happened to him, but I know that that was part of him. I don't know where they do it. I don't know how they do it. I don't know what it means. But I know that we will all die here. And then he just kind of sinks back in his cage and, crosses his arms.
Well, good man, if we can get you out of here, how long do you think you could help us 5, knowing what we now know, survive on this island and possibly get off of it?
1 is easy to hide. I could have left here long ago. I don't have a boat. And if you ran aground here, either do you. So we're all stuck.
Well, we didn't necessarily run aground. We do have a boat per se. But I'd rather take my chances out there than sit in here. What say you, all y'all?
What about Bazdar? Can you wield the storm again? Maybe you could just blow us out of here.
I feel it boiling and bubbling constantly below the surface. But I can only grasp at it. Have you ever tried grasping a cloud?
Are you a sorcerer?
To be truthful with you, my friend, I don't know what I am.
I've heard.
I am an Oldane dwarf.
I've heard rumors and suspects of people who are born with magic in their veins, like hot fire, and it takes them a long time to understand how to use it. Maybe you are like that. I don't know. But if we have this trick, my people. I guess you would call it a sort of meditation. I may be able to guide you. I'm not a wizard or anything like that, but maybe together we can help sort this out.
I know of these sorcerers you speak of. This feels different than what I understand them to be. This feels like my purpose, if that makes sense. It does not feel like the bleak is trying to tear me apart. If anything, I feel like the bleak, the storm that rages within me, it somehow makes me whole.
I think I understand completely what you're saying. And like you would see Halimar, he raises like his hand up and it starts to like shimmer almost like heat over like a desert or like a asphalt on a hot day. And then for a moment, like it's there and he kind of pulls it back in him. He's basically like showing off his divine magic that's in him, his lay on hands ability. He's like, I know what it's like to feel purpose and have it give you strength and power that you're not used to. I used to have a lot more. I used to be different. Well, it's useless now. I can't even break out of this cage. I'm not strong enough to even lift the bars. And he kind of like lowers his head a little bit and kind of goes into his own mind for a minute there.
And as you guys are talking, you hear Ryan stir. And he kind of sits up in the cage. And he looks over at the human that you've been talking to. And he notices those tattoos on his hands. And he squints, he kind of, shakes his head. And he says, I know him. I don't recall. It was long ago, but I know him. Who are you? And he would put his kind of press his face up against the bars. He said, it's Koval, isn't it?
I calmly look up and make eye contact with Ryan. And I grunt. Took you long enough, Sprout.
What are you doing here? It's been years.
I say, well, I guess you're conceited and spoiled, but apparently you don't listen very well. You heard I was shipwrecked.
Yes, but what happened? I mean, you. I'm sorry. I just woke up. The darts. But what happened? I don't understand. How are you here? You were supposed to be. Last I heard, you were dead. We told your daughter that she was dead.
I just look down, probably clasp my hands a bit as I'm just slowly look up and look back at him again. And I say, can't really talk about it, Ryan, but I'm sure you understand what I mean when I say that. And I just give him like a knowing look.
And he says, these four, they saved me. They I helped. I helped. I'm good like that. I helped them, but these four saved me. And we need. Can you help us out? I know what you can do. Can you help get them out?
I just look at him. One sec. I kind of just turn and look at him, just eyeing him as he says this. And I say, there's not much point getting out if we can't get off the island. But seeing as you appear to have some sort of transportation, it seems this is what I've been waiting for. I say, I'll make a deal with you. I'll get you out. I'll get you off the island. But you, and I kind of point to a lot of them, need to help me with something first.
He said, well, I'm you know me, I'm not very, very handy.
I kind of just snort as he says this, like agreeing with him.
Yeah.
That is true. What is it you need help with?
And say will be far more help than this gentleman ever possibly could be.
I kind of just smirk as they're like basically agreeing with my snort, and I eye them, and I say, I can't give specific details, but I need to get into that cave.
Cave? We didn't. Cave of what? Where? What are you talking about?
I just eye him as he's speaking, and I say, beyond the lake with the stone. I'm not sure if any of you have seen it yet, but there's a lake and something that comes metallic and large as far as I can tell. I say, I need to know what's in that cave.
Now, the only person here who would know that would probably be Halamar. So how would you respond to that, Brian?
I've seen the cave you speak of, and the lake. I could guide us there if we could get out of here.
I slowly nod and say, do we have an agreement? As I look at all of them.
I don't think any of us are going to protest at this point. Our freedom is far more important than any other wagers that we may have.
Yes, I do believe we accidentally have an agreement that we all want to get out of here. So I do have some magic on me as well. I could definitely possibly make a distraction. We do have the spear that's been hidden. Balls's cage, I believe, and my own are still cut in the back, so we can get out. It's going to be a problem getting these guards together so that way we can take them out simultaneously and then possibly find our way through the bamboo barrier in the back and out. Anyone have any other ideas?
What would Boz be thinking or saying right now, Jake?
Boz is just listening, paying attention, taking it all in.
Okay. And Ryan would again speak up to Cobal and say, "Did you find it? Did you find what you were looking for?"
I say, I'll give him a look, this knowing look that we probably both share, and I say, my best bet is the cave.
Ryan would just kind of look really disheartened. You keep talking about this cave. We're in cages, let alone caves and getting through hundreds of these creatures. We just might as well give up. And he just kind of sits down and kind of pouts in the thing.
I kind of just eye him.
No.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say now Boz would speak up.
Okay.
Ryan, I don't want to hear another word from you. You are making me and everybody around you more depressed than we need to be. Let this one talk. Tell us what we need to know. We will do what we can to help if it means getting us out of here.
And as you do that, the gate surrounding you very forcefully flies open. And that same half dozen guards that brought you here follow quickly behind the goblin chief. And he points what looks like just kind of a walking stick towards Halamar. And he says, "Now is the time that you will be judged."
So, as they all appear, I am going to do something real quick.
Okay.
So I am going to, where's that spell? Oh, here it is. Okay. So I look at them and I kind of close my eyes for a second. I don't know who's watching me would maybe notice me whispering something under my breath. And suddenly the ground begins to shake. Light tremors begin to fill the earth. And these meager torches that light up the this village that we're trapped in, start to flicker, bright and dim all at the same time.
Okay.
As that happens, Rinzier would be paying attention, and he would notice this happening, and notice him chanting, and he would just kind of shake his head. And how close together are all of these guys? Like pretty compacted?
Yeah, probably 10 feet, 12 feet. Sure.
All right, so I'm going to cast Fairy Fire right in the middle of the group and try to catch them all with it. So now not only is the ground shaking and the lights are changing, but now they all burst to flame. Well, they have to make a dex check, obviously. But just purple flames engulf all of them.
Okay.
And they have to make a dex check, beating a 12.
First to make it. To fail that dex check, Scott. So what happens to them?
You just see purple flames erupt in a 20-foot like cube around, engulfing all of them at once. So it does have that shock and awe for a moment. And two of them, as it dies down, two of them remain lit on fire. And the ground is shaking and the lights are changing.
They seem very focused. The ones that, I mean, of course, they're a little put off by the tremors and the flickering and the fire, but they very quickly kind of pad out. You know, they take care of each other very quickly. You guys are still in the cages. And the goblin seems very knowledgeable about what's going on. He says, a few of you obviously know some tricks. I know some too. And this one still will be judged. And perhaps if you all see what will happen, you will understand. And all of you, except for Koval, are taken with your hands bound behind you, and with Halimar directly in front, and you are walked through the village. As you walk through the village, the path is lined by dozens of these villagers. So again, different sizes, different shapes, but all grotesque. All this kind of hodgepodge of everything. And as you walk up a slight hill, you see this lake that they were talking about. It's really not much of a lake. It's maybe 60 or 70 feet across. But the odd thing is that it's filled with a liquid that is crimson red. In the center, there's a small island with a large boulder. There are shackles attached to this boulder. This is what Halimar saw earlier from a distance. This water is only a foot or two deep, as Halimar has walked through and shackled to this boulder. The rest of you are held back with the guards, probably a good 150 feet away. But you can still see Halimar. And the chief would look at all of you and he will say, and now he will be judged. And he will walk over probably, a couple hundred feet away into where kind of there's this little rock outcropping. And because you all are so close now, you notice a small cave. And you can see him stand in front of the cave. And you can hear him yell something, but you're too far away to understand. And in front of him, flames begin to rise several feet into the air. Smoke begins to billow from the cave entrance. And a few moments later, the chief is no longer there. After a few tense moments again, you hear just heavy steps. What would be going through Halimar's mind right now, Brian?
Halimar, so he's standing in water, right? You said?
What? No, he's actually chained to a rock. Just his feet are in the water.
Oh, okay. So he's like looking out at the water and kind of like testing the bindings he has, like knowing he can't break free, especially because he has very little strength in his body anymore. kind of frustrated with himself and kind of basically wondering if he could have prevented himself from getting in this situation. He remembers a little bit earlier, like the day before or whatever, when he was leaning against that tree, thinking about getting on the boat and trying to, take his way to sea, and considering maybe that was a better idea at this point. He tried to save his friends, and now he, from what he can tell, he's just sitting here waiting to be some sort of sacrifice. So he kind of grits himself and, sets his jaw kind of and like waits to see what happens next.
What would the rest of you be feeling or doing? What would Tor be doing?
Tor's watching. He's very anxious about this whole thing. He's no idea what's coming, but he's starting to feel this anxiety building, and he reaches, well, he can't because he's tied, but he tries to reach for where his pouch would be and realizes it's not there. And more anxiety building as he realizes that this item that he reaches in for that helps him out is not there, and worries what may happen. And that almost helps distract him for a little bit as he's worrying about something different than what's about to happen to Halimar.
What about Razir and Boz?
Razir would he'd be watching all this intently, but he'd look over at Halimar. Halimar, don't worry, my friend. We will find a way out of this. This is not the end of our story.
You're about 150 feet away from him, by the way.
Then still yell it.
Yeah, you can yell it.
And as long as he hears me, I'd also snap my fingers. And I'm gonna bardic inspiration him just in case he needs it for later for something.
Okay.
And at the D6, it lasts for 10 minutes, so we should have it for more than long enough.
Okay. And finally, Boz. What would Boz be doing?
Boz will be unmuting his microphone so that you can hear what he has to say. Boz feels this energy inside him, and he's starting to feel a little antsy because with his hands bound, he feels like there's little he can do. And he's rather surprised to find a sudden calm over himself. And he begins to silently pray to whatever this is. He doesn't even know what this entity is, but it just begins beseeching in his mind, beseeching this power to grant them some kind of solution to this. He's even surprised to find himself praying. But those are the words. The word pray seems fitting for what he's doing.
Okay. And as this sound, this just think the sound of from Jurassic Park, that thumping from the T-Rex feet, So in the lake, you can actually see the vibrations in the water, instead of that little cup. It's in this big lake and you can see it. And then very quickly emerging from this cave, it's hard to make out, but it is metallic. As it gets closer, you can hear this mechanical, just kind of grinding and almost like a clockwork, whistles and fizzes, and but it's definitely a construct of some sort. Probably 10 feet tall, maybe 9. It's not copper, but it almost has that copper look to it, kind of bronzy, but a little bit more orange to it. It has a single light, almost looks like a big eye in the head, but its arms and its legs are giant. It's probably 6 or 7 feet across. And he doesn't look at the rest of you. He looks directly at Halamar. And he walks, and as he gets to the water, he pauses for a minute. And as he walks, he walks on the surface of the water. He doesn't sink. He almost, think like Jesus walking on water. And as he gets to Halamar, he kind of leans down with his legs, almost like he collapses his legs a little bit. And he puts that light, that eye, directly into Halamar's face. And very, very loudly, you hear this construct. Elf. Talus. Injured. Judgment. 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 And it pauses. And you hear kind of and see a little spark coming out of the left side of this. And it kind of, that spark kind of gives a little bit of a jolt, and it shakes a little bit. And it stands up for a moment and then goes back. This will not work. Sacrifice unacceptable. And it stands up and it looks towards all of you, and then back at Halamar. And he takes his right hand. It's easily 3 to 4 times as big as Halamar's head, and he almost grips his entire head and face. And Halamar, as you're doing this, you feel something very strange. You feel it's almost like energy or static electricity, but you feel it kind of emanating from this construct's hand into your head. You almost feel like it's almost attached to you. And as it slowly pulls its hand back, you feel like it's pulling off part of you or pulling something out of you. And the pain is unbearable. Would you scream? Would you yell? What would you think if you felt just...
Oh, no, yeah, no doubt. He would just be like, ah! This like loud scream as he feels this like thing. Is it like pulling like part of me, or is it like part of my spirit or something?
The people watching would see this as like, it's like a blue and streaks of blue and yellow. It almost looks like there's this arcanic energy being drawn from you into this thing's hand, and you notice a glowing symbol on his hand. It's I'll show you guys a picture of it, but it's something that Boz recognizes as a language that has been all but forgotten to his people. But it is a symbol that would be known to all as Titan speak. And as he pulls his hand away, the further he gets away, the more your eyes get heavy, and your vision just slowly closes and fades to black as you fall unconscious. As the construct puts its arm down, it says, "This one was not acceptable. Will reprocess." And he goes over again with these giant hands and very, very dexterously unshackles Halamar. And he picks your body up and holds it, turns around, and walks back into the smoke that is billowing from this cave entrance. The rest of you can do nothing. The rest of you for all intents and purposes, just saw Halimar judged, sacrificed, and killed. And we're going to take a 5-minute break.
Brutal.
Oh boy, Almar, what is going on?
Drake, you're vicious, man. Absolutely vicious throughout this whole thing.
I got to throw out something at this, okay? Kai was supposed to be here like an hour and a half ago, okay? And we got our times all messed up. And I was winging the first 2 hours until he got there because I really was expecting him to fill in so much. So I apologize for that. So that's why the beginning was kind of slow, because I was waiting for him, just kind of dragging it along, trying to make that happen.
It didn't feel like you were dragging it at all. We're like, I was like nothing we do, like nothing is working.
Well, if you remember, Scott, on the boat, there was nothing that you could do right either. I like making you feel like that. So.
And
yeah, if you're making a decision and you don't feel uncertain about it, and then Drake's not doing his job.
Exactly. All right, guys. So take 5. We'll be back. 5. We'll be getting back to you here in a minute. And thanks for rushing home, man.
The RPG construct has judged you.
I didn't.
This sacrifice is not worthy. I'm just messing.
Dude, I so need that for another game. But anyway, all right, I'll be back.
Yeah, dude, sorry about that. I totally realized when you said CST, I'm like, oh crap, he thinks I'm EST.
Yeah, man. Just one of those things.
Yeah, man, happens, dude. It's
we've
okay.
We've been talking for 2 days about it, and so yeah, basically, for your own knowledge, I did start talking to him as Koval.
Yeah.
They knew, that there was that you've been there for a while, that you were shipwrecked, that that your crew, was that you initially, kind of befriended them, but then people would go missing, and you would find parts of them coming back. I told them about a friend of yours named Rel, that named after Jeremy, by the way, that had a leaf tattoo on his right arm that you noticed, and just kind of went from there. So, but there wasn't a lot. Most of what you and I have talked about, they don't know yet.
Okay, cool.
So we'll get there.
Now we get down to the nitty gritty.
Yeah, we'll probably go another hour and a half or so.
You both suck, by the way.
What? Why?
No, it's just hilarious. Like, the whole thing is just hilarious. I've been talking to Tyler like off and on all week about the damn game and what's been going on and that, especially after you guys played.
I know. I've pretty much gotten screenshots of everything that you've said over the last 3 days, so we're fine.
Oh, okay, nice.
I mean, he didn't send me the nudes that you sent him, but besides
Well,
that,
I told him to keep that private anyway.
No, I deleted those as soon as possible, man. I just, no evidence.
exactly.
He didn't want to make you jealous. I'm sorry, dude.
I understand, but I can share. You know that. But yeah, dude. But yeah, and again, I know it kind of felt like the beginning part was a little bit slow, but I was just trying to bring it a little bit. But it always feels slow to me until I watch the game, and I'm like, oh, okay, that wasn't that bad.
And if you make me hate Ryan anymore, I'm gonna snap his damn neck, man.
Well, then I'm really good at making him a good character, then, because that's the point.
Oh my god.
Well, you just, yeah. I don't know. We'll be fine.
You could say what you were gonna say, man. You know I don't take anything personal.
No. Ryan has a purpose, so.
And it's to make my life miserable. I got it. Check.
That's my purpose.
You are Ryan, so yes.
Yes.
Ipso facto.
But no, like I said, I was trying to get, I'm trying to get you and Brian a little bit more involved in this game. So, because the last game was all Boz, because it was amazing on that boat, him doing all that stuff. But we'll see. But yeah, Ty, thanks for getting off work early.
Yeah, no problem, man. Anything to be here. You know how pumped I've been.
Yeah, I know. It's oh, what the hell is that? That's Bill. Sounds like he just unzipped his pants and shoved a sandwich in there.
So has this been
What did I just come back to?
Shut up, Brian. Don't judge.
Go over to the live chat. They're talking about nudes and having sex for extra experience.
Yeah.
Oh, we can do that?
Oh, Halamar failed his judgment. Come on now.
Just saying, we got pretty dang close in that game on Thursday, though, or was it Wednesday?
Dude, you missed it, but you would have been blushing really bad, Ty.
Yeah, I didn't notice at all, man. I was like,
It's probably.
I don't remember. I think it was like plugging my phone into charge, and then everyone's like, "Oh crap!" And then I look up and the camera's down. I'm like, "What's going on?"
That's totally not true, because Drake has photos that he put on our little instant messenger that has them in the background and you staring directly at the screen, man.
Really?
And a big smile on your face. Oh yeah.
Wait,
You posted
really?
2 pictures and you're both just that exact smile right there.
Listen,
Yeah, but on our screen, that was thumbnail.
Yeah.
It was the thumbnail of the video.
yes. Yeah, it wasn't big until I grabbed the camera.
Until you drew
Oh.
attention to it.
Well, because I looked over and I saw sandwich covered boobies and I was like, oh my god. I'm like, this is on a live stream and it isn't even mine. I wouldn't feel bad if it was my live stream, but it was Jake's. So I felt bad for mine. I'd be like, boobies, I don't care. But yeah. Anyway, we're back. Is everybody ready to go?
And how?
All right. So all of you just watched your companion Halamar go face to face with this metallic construct. Boz, when this happened, you got kind of a sick to your stomach feeling. The only other time you felt it was right before the bleak storm hit on the boat. It's just something deep in your gut that just doesn't feel right. And you felt that. And you all stand there for a few moments not knowing what to do as this creature or construct carries Halamar's body into this cave. And as the fog or smoke fades that was emanating from this cave, you notice the goblin chief again come out and stand in front of you. he was judged poorly. And if all of you know what is good for you, you will not be judged. You will be friends. You will honor the gods. You will do what they ask, or you will be judged. Take them back to their cages. And they all turn and start walking you back.
So, quick question.
Mm-hmm.
When they all left, how many guards were left behind?
2.
Only 2.
The same 2 that you that are there normally.
Okay. Are they within distance of seeing me, like the people that all left? Can they see the cages from where they are?
No, they're probably 300-400 yards, and the surrounding kind of bamboo is probably 10 or 12 feet tall. So they can probably see the bamboo as they walk down the hill, but they can't see you or the cages.
Okay, and I know that they usually keep a pretty big vigil on the cages. Yes,
correct. You've probably been here approximately a month. You've been on the island almost 2 years, but you've been there for about a month as a captive.
Okay. So I'm going to get out with the idea in mind that they're going to freak out and start searching everywhere to find me.
Okay. How do you plan on getting out?
Okay. So first, what I want to do is cast Charm Person on one of the mongrel men still watching me.
Okay. What's the save that he needs to make?
He needs to make, I believe it's a wisdom save. Let me hurry and make sure for you, though.
And what's the DC?
It'll be DC 14.
Okay. He rolled a natural 1.
Okay, perfect. That works great.
He is your best friend. What would you like to do?
So I command him, kind of in like a whisper almost, to he can only hear. I just tell him to just go sprinting off into the forest, assuming that his friend's going to follow him.
Okay. He he would open the gate, and his other guard would look at him very puzzled as he just took off into the forest where you pointed him. His friend would follow him for a few steps, and you'd hear him calling and
Is he no longer looking at me?
The other one is not looking at you now. He's his friend.
I'm gonna spring on him and put him in a chokehold and knock him out.
How'd you get out of the cage?
Did you say he opened it?
No.
Oh, he doesn't. Okay. Well, then in that case, I hold my hand to the side.
Hold on, Ty. Hold on. Slow here. You told him to run into the.
Yeah, that works. That's fine. I didn't tell him to open the cage. I just thought you said he did.
No.
Okay. So I hold my hand to my side, and the light that's trickling through the trees starts to form into something, and this massive greatsword appears in my hand.
And that's using which skill?
That's my weapon bond.
Okay. Does it just appear, or does it actually have to come to you like Thor's hammer?
I believe it just appears out of the ethereal realm. So let me hurry and make sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it just appears though.
Okay.
Is this like the warlock trait?
No, this is the weapon bond for the Eldritch Knight.
Oh yeah.
Okay. It just appears. All right. Well then, fine. You have this, and what sword is it?
It's a greatsword.
Okay.
So with that, I'm just gonna chop through the door and tackle this guy.
Okay. Give me a strength check.
Good. I'm good at these.
Just roll me a 10.
A 10-sided dice?
No. Just roll me a.
Oh. A 10 or greater.
Yeah.
Okay. That would be a total of 17.
Okay. You rush at this guy, and he's standing basically at the open gate, and you just tackle this guy, and you land several feet outside of the gate, which is in sight of the guards that are bringing the other people down.
Oh, crap.
In plain sight. So everyone sees you. What would you like to do?
I am going to sprint off into the forest, and what I do is as I'm sprinting off, I cast Minor Illusion, sending footsteps in the opposite direction. And then I'm going to circle back around to the village.
Okay. Okay. In which I'm trying to get get a visual of what you're trying to do here. So remember, everyone can see you, all the guards, the chief, and everything. So you want to go towards them or away from them?
Away from them. I'm going to try to lead them away from the prisoners.
Okay. Then the chief would see you, and the chief would just kind of mutter something, and half of the guards would start chasing you.
Okay.
But there would still be 3 there, and the chief.
Okay. So when they lose sight of me into the forest, basically what I want to do is create a minor illusion of myself, and I'm going to duck into some leaves and send my minor illusion off in the direction to lead them away.
Okay. As you guys see this, what are you all doing? Boz, Razir, Tor, what are you doing?
So he does this in our sight.
Yes, you can see him as he tackles this mongrelman guard, and he just kind of goes 2 or 3 feet outside of the gate, and you basically see him on the ground, get up, take a look at you guys, and just start bolting in the other direction.
And that left us with how many guards left? And are we still tied?
Yeah, you guys would probably still be tied, but it's something that they just kind of did as they were taking you up there. You were surrounded by guards, so if you took an action and tried to kind of loosen them, you would probably be okay, especially you, Tor, with your strength.
That's probably what Tor would do, seeing this kind of distraction and know that he does not want to be judged. He would attempt to break the bonds or twist free of them.
Roll me a strength check.
I think that is a 12.
That's you just need to roll a 10. So yeah, you absolutely break those bonds. So your hands are now free. Raz, what do you want to do?
As I see Tor, like, muscles starting to bulge, I'm going to cast Minor Illusion. Is there, like, growth around us? Like brush in that along the path that we're coming down?
Probably 50 feet away, but behind the huts probably, but nothing within your immediate area.
In a brush as close as possible, I'm going to cast Minor Illusion of what is Koval, an image of Koval coming out of the brush there.
Do you need your hands to do that? Because I know you did it in the cage when your hands were free.
It just says that you can create a sound, image, lions roar, drums beat.
Okay.
I actually don't have I can look it up.
It's only somatic.
Oh, okay, fine.
It's somatic and material, but I think the material is only like, it's like a bit of fleece. Yeah. So like if you pulled off a piece of your shirt, I'm pretty sure that would work.
Oh, okay. That's fine then. Raz, you are still bound and you can do this illusion. Boz has broken his bonds as well with his roll. So
as this illusion comes out, Tor is breaking his bonds. Razir is going to do like a front flip, pulling his hand out from underneath, like almost like you were getting out of handcuffs kind of thing, bringing them to the front underneath your legs. Mm-hmm. That way now his hands are in front.
Okay. And
I'm going to wrap them right around one of the guards' throats as soon as I land.
When the guards see it, when the guards see that illusion, 2 of them go chasing after it into the woods. So you have 1 guard left with you, as well as the chief.
Which one am I closer to, would you say?
Probably the guard.
Then he just does a front flip. If you want, I'll do acrobatics.
Okay.
I had to say something, right?
Yep.
Looking at 7.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
I get my hands out in front of me, but end up stumbling. So I stumble like almost into the guard a little bit.
Okay. So with that, the chief would realize, that it's basically you guys and him left, and he is going to very quickly run into the center of the village and begin shouting in some language that you don't understand. Again, that low guttural animalistic speech, and you would see every mongrel man, woman, child that is there come out of their hut and start looking at you, at all of you. Where would you guys like to go?
I'm circling back around, by the way, to find them so I can lead them away.
Okay. I'd say give it one more round, and then you can probably get there. Close to where those guards followed the other illusion. You could probably get them. Okay, Jake, what do you want to do?
So, as all of this is happening, and Boz just uses raw strength to break his bonds free, and as the chief runs over and starts hollering and people start coming out, between the chief and us, Boz, he just reaches up, and you see a little bit of this purple, a red lightning kind of just dimly cascade along his arm, and his eyes do that thing where they look like purple storm clouds with red lightning, and he mutters something under his breath that you can barely hear, and just kind of makes a lifting motion with his hand, and a red and purple haze, much like a bleak storm in miniature, just rises from the ground in a 20-foot radius between us and them. And mechanically, it's essentially a fog cloud spell.
Okay.
But something that Boz thinks of as a bleak shroud, as he just feels that energy course through him and grant him this power, and use this as a means of covering their escape as they go after Koval.
Okay. So with that would buy a little bit of time. Koval, how would you be coming at them, and where would you take them? In what direction would you go?
So I've been on this island for 2 years now, so I know pretty much every part of it that I've been able to access without being spotted by the mongrel men. So I almost imagine that I know the places that are really easy to hide in that they haven't discovered yet.
Okay.
So what I want to do is I want to make our way in that direction, towards that, while we're going, with the help of whoever else cast the illusion spell that I saw. Or did I see that?
No, you didn't see that.
Okay, well, just using my illusion spell. If it's okay with you, I would like to create groups of footprints going off in different directions to just slow them down as they chase all of our different sets of footprints.
And where would you be taking them?
I imagine that I know of people have seen the Hunger Games, like kind of a place like the vines kind of like hang down over like a precipice.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of goes down to a little crag outline, like cave in the ground. I feel like I'd be leading them towards something similar to that.
What would you say to them? Like, what, as you came up, what would you say?
I would just come running as I sprinted past them. I would just say loud enough for them to hear, "Follow me quickly."
Now, Ryan would, without hesitation, he would be right with you. What about the rest of you?
Tor would start right after him. He's eager to get out of this, not wanting to confront them any more than he has to.
Okay. Razir and Boss?
Boz will definitely follow.
Razir would definitely he kind of stumbled and fallen on the ground, taking his guard with him. He'd kind of scramble up and kind of look around. And let's be off. And as he's going, and he sees Koval making these footprints, he'd be like, "Oh, that's a good idea, sir," and he'd start throwing out some of his own, like matching them and throwing it off different directions and overlapping them, so it almost looks like a stampede kind of came through here.
And Ty, in what direction would you be taking them in relation to the cave and this lake?
So I'm gonna head. So the village. So it kind of goes like cave and lake, village, and then kind of this is like in the center of the island, the cave and the lake and the village.
The village would be south of the lake. And then the cave would be, and then the lake would be south of the cave. So they're all kind of in the center of the island in a sort of a line within a few hundred yards of each other. But there's a huge amount of island left that's not there.
Okay, so I'm going to go off to the west so we don't have to go through the village then. So I'm leading them west towards the shore, but then I'm going to hurry and like double back around the backside of the cave and the lake so that we circle it basically.
Okay. And then you would just find a place to stop to catch your breath?
Yeah, maybe a hideout I've discovered and added on to since I've lived here for so long.
Okay. Well, why don't you do this? Why don't you tell us where this hideout is and what it looks like as you get to it, and what do you say to the players?
So as we're kind of running, it almost is like, oh, everything just looks the same, just trees everywhere, and then it kind of starts to become an incline. And it might surprise you guys as Koval is leading, but suddenly he just kind of disappears, like he's fallen through a hole almost. When in actuality, he's kind of just like jumped off this precipice, kind of curved back to the right. And when you guys come over, you wouldn't see anything besides these vines. A hand would come out and he'd kind of beckon you guys in. It's almost like perfectly obscured beneath this precipice and behind all these vines, making it look like just a solid wall.
Okay. Would you all go in there with him?
Well, it seems our friend has quite a nice hiding spot, and Rosé would definitely follow.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, Tor was right up behind him anyways, as best as he could be. But he'll stop as he sees where he's going and kind of gesture for the others. Come, quick, hurry. In. Let's go.
Okay.
Come, little cousin. Move those little feet.
And as you all, get into this hideout and you're all breathing heavy and, tired and, it hasn't really even sunk in that you've lost one of your companions.
Quick thing. I also want to make it so that where we landed with all the footprints, it looks like normal jungle floor with a minor illusion. It doesn't look like we jumped down off the precipice.
Okay.
Okay, that's it.
That's fine. And while you're sitting there catching your breath, you do hear people relatively close, but they don't find you. They don't know where you are. For now, all of you can catch your breath. You are safe. At least the 5 of you. And we pan over to Halimar. And Halimar is, for lack of a better phrase, floating. Halimar, you feel like you're floating, like you're kind of on cloud 9, almost a euphoric feeling. You see family members, you see old friends and acquaintances. You feel warmth and happiness. You continue to almost drift among, the clouds. This is not a bad feeling. You know what just happened. You know what you felt. You knew the agony that you just went through. But for some reason, you're okay with it. You kind of feel a pull towards a certain direction. And you know that you're supposed to go. You're supposed to go there. And as you get closer, you realize that there's a light. Not your, go into the light type thing, but The light is in the form of a figure, a giant, we're talking several 100 feet tall, glowing figure of light. And this figure speaks to you. And he says, Halamar, you have been judged. You have been found worthy of this. You have a choice. Is this a place you want to stay? Or would you like to return?
It's been a long time since I felt anything like this. As much as I'd love to remain, I know this isn't real. I can't leave them. Not yet. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I was destined to meet these people. I can't stay here. I have to go back. I have to make sure they get out of that. Don't ask me why. I feel it in my gut.
Your body is not compatible with what we create here. Your body is not pure.
Yes.
This, though, has no bearing on your heart. And your heart has been found pure.
Well, I don't know what to say to that. Sometimes I question my own intentions.
This giant figure, you could almost see kind of nodding as you're this big.
Yeah.
To him, it's basically like, think of like Galactus from the Marvel comics, and like the Silver Surfer, And he says, we cannot use your body. We can use your heart. You will return. You'll be given back your impure and decrepit body. But I must keep some of what you are. I must keep this island safe. And part of you will help me do that. You will leave this place. You will never return.
If you can get us off of this island, I'll do whatever it takes to help you protect it.
I cannot help you. I can allow you to live.
Then that should be enough. I'll do what I can to get us away from your island. I can assure you that.
And he pauses for the creature pauses for a brief moment. And this light that he was just gets brighter and brighter and brighter until it's blinding.
And Halmar, before he's like, wait, before you send me back, what are you? What is this place?
This is where we ended up. This is where that which once created this world remain now. As I said, our bodies fade, but our hearts remain, just as yours will. And with that, the glow gets brighter and brighter and brighter until it's blinding, and you almost have to shield your eyes. And in that moment, your eyes snap open, and you find yourself laying on a carved stone slab in a very dimly lit cave somewhere. But
So I like sit up and glance around to see am I alone?
in this room, yes. You just see a dimly lit. You're laying on a carved stone slab, dimly lit, in what you think to be a dimly lit cave.
He takes a deep breath, sighs. He's like, "Well, it seems as much as I want to be around those idiots, I keep losing them." And he jumps down from the slab, and he's gonna try to like go outside or try to figure out where he is.
As you jump down from the slab, you feel incredibly weak. Your legs actually buckle from under you. It's as if you've been walking for days. You have no strength. You really feel completely drained. You don't feel like your whole body feels like your arm feels all the time.
Yeah, so he doesn't really like stand, but he kind of pushes himself up against like the back of the slab and this like slumps there, like breathing heavily, and he's like, this is not good. And I guess he'll just rest for a minute to see if he can regain any of his stamina before he tries to go on any further.
Okay. And so as you rest there, it's been a few hours for the other group. What would you guys like to do now?
So I almost imagine we've been waiting out any other search parties they might send, kind of fanning the area. And after we've waited for a while and nothing's happened, I kind of turn, I look at Ryan, and I say, like, as we're kind of still waiting for a moment, you mentioned Claire. Is she still okay?
Well, it's been 6 months since I was on the ship for a while, trying to recover the shipment that, well, the one that was lost, and I the last I knew, she was okay. She was in what was that? What is? It was Southport. Yeah, she was in Southport, that port city right south of my city of Copperfell. She was there. She was okay. She was working for the guard, I think, but I didn't talk to her, but I think she's okay.
I slowly nod. Oh. Okay, I'm not muted. I thought I was muted for a second. I slowly nod, and I say, I just look Ryan in the eye, and I say in Reg.
He's still there. He's that old man. He'll never die. It's like the mountains were formed around him.
He always was stubborn. I kind of look at him and I'm like, you can't call him old man. He's your father. Only I can call him that. And I kind of stand to my feet as I say this and look down at him. And probably for the first time in Ryan's life since we've known each other, I extend a hand to him.
And Ryan would stand up kind of very, very hesitantly, and he would kind of grasp your hand and kind of pull you close and just kind of whisper in, so only you could hear. You know why we need to get out of here. You know why we need to get out.
I slowly nod as he says this, and I say back, I'm aware, but there's something in that cave that I have to see.
This is touching and all, but I think if it's clear, we should move on. And if the cave you spoke of earlier is something we go to, it would not be bad. See what happened to Halamar. At least, if he's dead, bring his body somewhere of rest.
Kind of just slowly nod. And I look over the party, and my eyes kind of like, I'm like studying each and every one of them. And my eyes fall on Boz. And I say, Uldane, interesting. What are you doing down here, friend?
I am here of the same reason everybody else is. It's the will of the bleak It's the will of the storm.
I kind of look
But
at.
before
oh,
that, I was simply a cooper on board the ship. I made the barrels. I broke the barrels. I made the barrels again. I tried to keep my head down until that last day.
Until you blasted the first mate off the boat.
I'm still uncertain whether that was... how much of that was me and how much of that was the bleak working through me. But I can barely feel it now. I feel as though I am depleted and must rest. If we are to pursue whatever it is you are looking for in this cave. I don't know why the bleak has brought us together, but it has its reasons, apparently. And Boz would actually extend a meaty dwarf hand out to you.
And I take the hand as I look at him, and I say, I look him dead in the eyes, and I say, I know the bleak. I know it. Don't let it consume you, like it has many others. And I put a hand on his shoulder, and I say, I think the coast is clear now.
Okay. So where would you guys like to go? It's probably, at this point, it's probably nighttime. You've been waiting for a few hours, and it was midday when he was taken to the rock. So you're probably rested for 4 or 5 hours. And it is nighttime now. What would you guys like to do?
Razir, would this be considered like a long rest per se?
I said 5 or 6 hours, so let's say 6 hours.
Only because I get spells back if I do.
That's fine. You guys are fully rested.
That's kind of where I was thinking too.
Yeah.
I was like, I would like to rest for 3 more hours.
That's what happens when you cast 17, minor illusion spells.
Those are cantrips. I can fling those out like burps, man.
Okay.
So no worries.
I don't think I've even cast a cantrip.
But
wait, I did once.
So Razir will look at Kaval. Well, you are the one that's been here the longest and know the island, and you said that your people were shipwrecked here long ago. You must have provisions hidden somewhere. We can't just go running in there with our bare fist now, can we? Well, maybe the big gentleman here can, and this little dwarf guy, and he might be able to run in with his fist. But I need a little bit more than that if I was to be effective.
Kind of turn and eye the tiefling, and I say, everything I had when they captured me, they took it, except for this. And I hold my hand on the side, and you see crackling energy, and suddenly, springing seemingly out of nowhere, in a flash of red, very similar to what Boz does, my greatsword appears. And I kind of hold it in my hand, its familiar weight, and say, this is all I have at this point.
Well, that is beautiful and quite amazing. You must teach me that trick at some point. I would love to learn it, but it doesn't help me. I must find something. I'll find something along the way. Maybe we could use that sword to cut some of this bamboo down, so at least we'll all have spears, something to stick things with.
I kind of eye everyone, and I say, I look at the tiefling, and I say, well, this lot, you look like you could be the stealthiest. Do you think you could sneak into the village unseen? I know where they keep the weapons and the armor.
We should really just head to the cave. We don't need to risk anything more. Besides, he'll scoop down and pick up a few good-sized rocks. Hand one to Razir. Here, if you get in trouble, throw this at them.
And I would imagine like it's just a small rock to him, but when he hands it to me, it's actually like a small boulder. So it's like, and I just like let it drop to the ground. I think that might be a little too big for me, my friend. But you are looking in the right idea, and I must agree with him on the fact that maybe going into the village after we've just escaped the village might not be the best idea either, just like the boulder he tried to hand me.
Again, what would you guys like to do?
I agree with Koval. Big cousin, rocks are fine for you, but not all of us have such built-in catapults for hurling those rocks. I would like to feel wood and steel between my hands again.
Well, then it looks like I'm attempting to sneak into the village. Some minor illusions and my dexterity and stealthy skills hopefully will do it. Where is this armor and provisions? Hopefully located somewhere near the edge of the village.
As he says the edge, I nod, and I say northern edge of the village, closest towards the cave. I say usually it's not too protected, maybe one guard at times, but it shouldn't be that much of trouble to get in. These mongrel men are undisciplined. They listen to their chieftain, yes, but when he's not watching, I've seen them. They're worse than the common rabble. Currently looking about, eyes darting, not wishing to pay attention to what their duties are. And I slowly nod to him as I'm thinking about it. And I say, if you can create a distraction, something, a light in the shadows, to draw one away, that one guard, perhaps you can get in and get back out. No problems.
All right, well, lead me there, and I guess instead of all of us going and stomping through the woods, sorry, my big man, you wouldn't probably knock over a couple trees on our way. If you can get me there, I'll get us out something.
And so would Boz and Tor stay in this hideout, or would they kind of go towards the north with you guys, just not the whole way? How would you want to do it?
I figured we'd all head in. At least that's what Tor would kind of think. Keep as a group. Keep the flock together.
Okay. So you guys head up to the northern edge of the village, probably within 100 yards of the village, and Koval and Razir begin to go closer. The dwarves just stay behind. And what type? You do see this hut that Koval points out. It is on the edge, and it is guarded by one guard. There's really no one close to it at night. Really don't need it. I mean, what else? What on the island is going to hurt it? What type of an illusion do you want to do and where?
What kind of wildlife is most common on this island? Like dangerous wildlife?
I'd say probably like a leopard or like a jaguar type of a thing, like a big cat.
And I know these are dangerous enough and capable of killing one of these mongrel men by itself, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to tell... So I look at Razir, knowing that he can do minor illusions as well. And I will tell him to make one of these things coming out of the forest line. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use thaumaturgy to make its eyes kind of light up like they would in the torchlight. So it just makes it even that much more real to intimidate the guard.
Okay. Let me see.
And of course, Razir's going to do that.
Okay. He absolutely gets frightened, and as he sees that, he runs down towards the center of the village, holding his spear, screaming at the top of his lungs. Obviously,
Perfect.
getting as much attention as he possibly can.
As soon as he starts moving, Razir's moving.
Yeah, same with
Koval.
goodness. Koval.
as we're running, I'd be like, come on. What is this, like a tent, or is it like a wooded shack?
No, this is like a mud hut with a thatched roof, the same as the other one. It's slightly larger than the last one that you were tied up in, but it's still constructed the same way. There's not much here as far as materials besides bamboo, mud, and thatch in pom-poms and stuff. So you guys have the opportunity to go inside, and as you do, it is lit with a torch. The pickings are slim though. There are weapons here. But what are you looking for? Tell me specifically what you're looking for and what you would grab, and I can tell you what you find.
I would definitely be looking for probably, excuse me, definitely a sword for myself, a short sword, a scimitar, something light finesse work. I'd grab at least 2 of those, maybe 3 if we meet up with Halimar. I know that he is going to be leaning more towards my style of fighting now as we've been training and sparring. So I definitely have like a 3rd one tucked away. Anything large, hammery, a maul, possibly for the big guy. And if I found anything like that, I definitely like hand it to Cabal. Be like, you can definitely carry this a lot faster than I can, and hand that to him. Boz, I would probably figure for probably like a hand axe or he's shaking his head no. I wouldn't really know what Boz would be in for, but I would grab a hand axe or 2, thinking the wolf state, they like axes and throwing them, and possibly a staff of some sort. Anything that I would think would fit.
Okay. At first glance, you would see a lot of very island type stuff. You don't see any metal. You don't see any. You see a lot of wood, a lot of odd things. You see, it looks like it has a bamboo hilt, and it's a very thin, almost like a rapier, like 2 or 3 foot weapon. It looks like it was made from a barb of a stingray. Obviously, this was a huge stingray, but it was probably 2 to 3 feet long, and it was kind of inserted into this kind of bamboo hilt. It would be the equivalent of a rapier, but it would be a dex-based sword. Along with that, you notice that there is a sword made of, I don't know if you've ever seen a sawfish, but like its bill is this long line and then points on each end. They made that into a weapon. It would be a piercing weapon, not a slashing weapon. But again, that would probably be the equivalent of a short sword or a long sword or a scimitar or something like that. You see, again, just a large stone wrapped in some bamboo. It would be the equivalent like a tomahawk or a club, something just heavy to bash with, kind of a one-handed club. You do see kind of some small sort of bucklers with made of kind of bamboo, kind of strung together with vines. But really just those kind of things, just things made out of the land. Nothing that would really hold up to iron or things like that. But for what it is, that's what you have.
I would grab it all, a little bit of everything, as much as my hands could carry, and throw in some at Cabal.
The only so you just want to take just kind of one of everything that you see?
Pretty much, except for like stuff that I guess we would kind of speak about it beforehand. If we're going to get weapons, we would kind of talk about what we would be interested in. So I'd definitely at least try to grab something flavored for each person from what they said. But as soon as we went into this hut, I would definitely like stop and kind of scratch my head for a moment and be like, this is not at all what we talked about.
Okay. So you guys would just get out and head back to your companions?
Cabal?
Yeah. After grabbing some stuff, probably like a massive club for our big old Grimdall dwarf, a one-handed weapon, or they could potentially be wielded with 2 hands. Maybe that sawtooth sword, probably that bamboo scimitar made from, or rapier for him. And I think Kaval would also be desperately looking about for something of importance to him, a small satchel. Would he find it?
Or any of our personal gear?
You would, Razir, you would notice up on one of the tables that your crystal did hang from it, and Tor's satchel that he's always wearing is there.
Yoink.
You could absolutely grab those as well. And as you guys run out with kind of your hands full, obviously you're going a little bit slower and loud, but you can see torches coming up the path towards the hut. Now you do get away just in time for them to, and you see them all kind of searching around, looking with their spears, looking for this animal that you guys put up earlier. But you can safely make it back to your group and kind of distribute what you had. So who is taking what? You have one stingray, let's call it the stingray rapier. You have one sawtooth sword. You have one club, would be the equivalent of a club, one bamboo buckler. And I would say just kind of a bigger club that you could use like a two-handed, just kind of with a bigger boulder that would work. Kind of the equivalent of a maul as far as damage goes. So who would be taking what?
I will take the club. The normal sized one. Not the big cousin sized one.
Okay. Just put, as far as your items, Jake, just put 1d6 bludgeoning with just put primal club on there. Who else?
So there was one rapier, one scimitar, one club that Boz just took, and one big club. So 4 items, was it? Or did I miss something?
There'd be 4 items left.
And the bamboo buckler.
And the bamboo buckler, yeah.
I just wrote it all down.
There was a sawtooth sword as well. Right?
Yeah. It's the equivalent, yeah.
Of the scimitar, right? That's the scimitar?
Yeah, it'd be like the 1d8 dex, yeah.
So it's like a long sword.
Yeah.
In which case, then I would pick up the size one. Kind of hefting it, getting the feel for it.
Okay.
This should do.
These things are all very primal, and obviously, like I said, they're not going to take up to a good beating, but for, in defense of your life, they could probably come in handy. So yeah, put stingray, rapier, sawtooth sword, and just put like giant club or something like that for you, Tor. That way, but again, the damage as far as maul goes. And who's going to take the buckler? Is that still Razir?
Tor, didn't you say that you were interested in like a wooden shield?
Not if, if the sawtooth sword was not dex based, then I was debating that and the shield, but we can leave it and give it to Halamar if he survives.
Yeah. Okay. So for now, Razir, you're just going to kind of carry both those swords and the buckler, or you can give it to Koval. It really doesn't matter to me.
I'd have the buckler on my back, and I'd have the rapier and the rapier stingray and the sawtooth scimitar sword.
Okay. And once you guys are kind of decked out with that, where do you want to go?
To the cave, I think, at least.
Okay.
How does everyone feel about that?
Concur.
All right, let's go there.
Jake, are you chugging vodka? Please tell me you're chugging vodka. Oh, it's iced tea. That would have been awesome because you're drinking it like tea.
It's water. Good Lord. That'd be like
with vodka.
A half a gallon of vodka? Good Lord. I'm not really Russian.
You're a dwarf. So you guys head up to the cave and you find this just about as tall as that construct was. And there is no light in the initial entrance. It's just darkness. Does anybody who has dark vision?
I do.
I think we all do.
Nope. Human.
No.
Yeah, Koval doesn't.
Although I do have a spell if we want to light everything up.
Is it dark or is it bleak filled?
It's dark.
That's right. You dropped it.
I also have my own light source.
So what do you guys want to do? You want to make light? Do you want to go in? What do you want to do?
I kind of like under my breath, I'm like, I can't see a thing.
Perhaps we should move deeper in before we light anything. Maybe grab hold of my maul and I can lead you in.
I kind of just like
falling for
nod.
that trick. Grab hold of your maul.
I was like, I heard that before.
I do put my hand on his shoulder, being unable to see, and I will like follow him in until we're like a good distance in before I light anything up.
Okay. This initial tunnel goes down several hundred feet. Probably I'd say about 80 or 90 yards, and it actually goes down. You notice you notice this decline, like almost to a 45-degree angle to make it go deeper into this rocky outcropping.
We should be low enough that they cannot see us.
So you'd hear muttering at that point once you say that. And then on the back of his hand, the sun tattoo, it lights up, like the lines fill in, and I lift my hand into the air, and it almost looks like a little miniature sun is lighting up everything in I believe it's like a 15-foot or something like that.
Okay. And as this lights up, you notice that the tunnel comes to an end directly ahead, but it does veer to the left. It almost forks, but the way to the right you can see has been closed off. There's been some kind of a cave-in, and there's just rubble and boulders blocking that. And as you turn that corner, you do notice a slight flickering, and you hear someone breathing very heavy. You hear that, and no, they're not touching his maul.
I kind of hold a hand out as I hear this breathing, kind of unsure of what to make of it, if it's a mongrel man. Yeah, it's me breathing into my mic. Sorry, guys. I don't know what's happening there. And I look into this room where I hear this breathing, and I extinguish. Is it still like, can I see light in the room? Or if I remove the light from my hand, will I be blind again?
No, if you remove the light from your hand, you can still see this kind of faint, dimly flickering light.
Okay, I remove the light then. I hold up a hand, and I kind of look at Razir, who's probably the most stealthy of the group, and I kind of point at him and kind of like move my hand, but like quiet, like forward to scout it.
He would slightly nod, and he would already have the scimitar and the rapier out. The scimitar in his right hand and main hand, and the rapier in his left, and he would slowly creep up.
Okay. And as you enter this room, the light gets a little bit brighter. A little bit further in, it veers to the right. And in front of you, about 20 feet, to your amazement, you see Halimar crouched down on one knee with one elbow propped up on this cut rock slab or stone slab. And he looks up at you. And what would Halimar say to Razir?
I've never been more glad to see your ugly face, Razir.
And it has dark vision. I kind of like wave him forward, but still keeping like volume low. And who else is in here with you?
As far as I can tell, I'm alone. Whatever that thing was, it's gone now.
What is it, Koval, that you wanted in this cave?
I kind of just like look at him as he says this, and I say, well, you'll know when you see it. That much I can assure you. And I step into the cave now. What do I see?
You see Raz standing in front of you. You see Halimar 10 or 15 feet in front of him, kind of propped up on this stone slab. You see that the room does open up at the end and veer off to the right. and you do see a lighted kind of hallway there, but there is nothing in this room except for Halimar Vizier and that stone slab.
I look at the Veer in the hallway, and I kind of like look back at the party, and I say, I need to go deeper.
That's what she said.
Ha!
I had to do it.
I was waiting so long for somebody to say something. I realized what I said right when I said it.
Oh, God, the sexual tension.
Oh, that got me.
It's too much, man.
Don't worry, Jake. I know you need to sleep. We're getting there.
Well, let's go deeper then.
Halimar would need some help. I mean, Halimar, what would you say to your friends? I mean, what would you?
Yeah, he would. Do I see Tor?
Yes, as he walks in, yes, you do.
I'm kind of hard to miss.
Yeah, big dwarf. Can you carry me?
I can.
I'll need your help for a bit. Whatever that thing did to me, it drained me of all my stamina.
But by the way, right now, Halimar, you're going to have 2 levels of exhaustion.
Okay.
I'll scoop him up, I guess, kind of like a baby, like arm under, under his ankles or his knees and arm, like wrapping around underneath his armpits to carry him.
And what would Boz just be following? Would he what would you guys be thinking, feeling? What would your characters be feeling when you saw your friend again moving?
Koval is surprised, by the way. He didn't expect him to be alive. He probably hides it pretty well. Hid it pretty well, the expectation that he was going to be dead. But he kind of just shakes his head in amazement as he does see that he's still alive somehow.
I think Boz, since entering this cave, has been cautious, sticking close to his group, almost afraid that he's going to feel that unease, that sickness to the stomach that he felt when the copper construct appeared and, for all intents and purposes, killed Halimar. And when he sees Halimar alive and breathing, even though he's weak and obviously affected in some way, he feels relief. And I think Boz would, in the same way he did when the construct first appeared, he would, with his mind, reach out to this entity, because that's how he's starting to think of the Bleak, as an entity, and just give thanks.
Okay. And how much further would Koval be going in without the party? Would he just be running in quickly, or would he wait for everybody? What would he be doing?
I think Koval, recognizing the time is of the essence, is just going to sprint in, but very warily. Okay. Trying to make his footsteps light and soft, but he's trying to get in and out as quick as he can.
Okay. Well, as you go through this room and you turn that corner to the right, you see an enormous, just unbelievably large room, perfectly carved, 90-degree angles, probably 200 yards long, probably 100 yards wide. You never thought something this big could exist in this. The stone is cut just with perfection. The dwarves would notice that this is beyond even their skill level. This is something that even Boz has never seen, and his people are all about the stone. This is perfection. This was not done manually. This was done magically or with some other arcane device. And in the center of this room sits, literally sitting, that construct. But it looks different. It looks as if it's sitting on something, on some type of a, almost like a chair, but of stone. And it's smaller than it was before. Its legs have collapsed, almost like it's shut down. And as you get closer, Koval, you notice that the chest of this thing is opened up. And within it, it looks like there's almost a seat, a place for someone to be. It's very small. It's not that any of you could fit in, but something was within this construct. It's not here now, and it's basically just sitting there. What would you guys like to do?
Could I possibly roll like an intelligent history check on this? Like one of the attributes of my race is called Discipline of Arts. And whenever I make an intelligent history check related to the origin of a story, song, poem, painting, or other creative works, would this thing be considered like a creative work? Would I know any history about it?
It's a construct, so I will let you roll for that.
Okay. And I get double proficiency, is all.
Okay.
And it fell off the table. All right. 11.
You know, you've heard stories of a rare race in Dragongrin called Tome Hearts. This is kind of what you imagined that they would be. This one's not. It's not sentient. It doesn't. It's not animated. It doesn't move by itself. But it's also not a golem either. It looks to you like it somehow bridges the gap between the two. You don't understand it. You don't. This isn't your specialty.
I think Koval's eyes would widen immediately, seeing this and recognizing the implications, at least for himself, what this means. And I'd immediately run up this thing and start studying everything I can about it.
And Ryan would actually follow you. He would he's kind of a follower with you. He wants to know what you're doing. And, what would you be saying to him when he was close to you?
I kind of look up at him with this anxious, kind of bewildered look in my eyes. And I lean in and whisper, I say, "Do you know what this means?"
He's completely clueless. He's
I look at him and I say, I whisper in his ear, only he can hear it. And I say, "You know of the War Makers."
Yeah, I do, but this isn't a War Maker.
I say, "It isn't. But this isn't a Tome Heart either. This implies that you can get out of them."
Ryan looks confused. He doesn't really understand the significance, but just kind of nods and says, "Okay. So what do we want to do about it?"
It should be destroyed.
Well, Razir would kind of look at the rest of the group as these two are kind of whispering, and he would kind of give them an awkward look and kind of shrug, and then speak up to them what is so important over there that you need to be whispering to each other? I thought we were all in this together, and now we have secrets, do we?
Kind of look up at him, and I say, there aren't... Just as there are things that you must know that I must not, this is something that does not apply currently, my friend. I apologize. I say, but I do acknowledge that you have been of great help. I say, I imagine that none of you have seen a Tome Heart before.
No, but I know of them, and I know of constructs and that, and this is somewhere in between. At least that much I know.
I slowly nod, and I say, it is something in between, and that is what intrigues me. Never have I seen anything like this before. And I look about the cavern once more. Do I notice anything else that stands out? My primary objective in coming here.
Around the rest of the cavern, no, except how pristine the cuts are and the walls are and how this was, kind of carved out. But you do see that this metallic construct is not the only metallic object in this room. What next to him or beside him is almost, it looks to be almost like a port or something that, for your own knowledge could be like a recharging station for the creature or something like that. It's not something you've ever seen before, but it's not part of the construct and it's coming out of the floor.
So Halmar would speak up at this point. He says something along the lines of, I met a creature here in this place. It's hard to explain. I was somewhere else, but I was here at the same time. I saw it, I gazed upon it. It was made of light, larger than any golem I've ever seen before, if you could even describe it that way. It was tall as a building. It spoke to me. It said I was unworthy. My body was unworthy, but my soul was still pure or still worthy. I can barely remember what it said. I'm sorry. It's starting to fade from my mind, but whatever this thing is, it's tied to something else, something bigger.
I say, and you said it was large. How
Immense.
large?
Imagine looking up at a statue over the great cities. Dwarf you. I was only maybe at its foot at the most.
And as he's saying all of this, so I rolled performance to hide my shock as he explains this thing. My eyes widen, like really big. I kind of but it's like an instantaneous second. So if anyone's like watching to see a reaction, you can probably roll against my performance if you want to. If not, you can just discard it as being nothing.
What would Tor had said that he wanted it destroyed? What would Tor be thinking now? Would that change? Would he go to it? What would he be doing?
He still sees this as a potential threat. I mean, this took Calamar out, and although it's allowed him to survive, he doesn't think it's necessarily something he wants to leave behind him. So he would probably look at them. I know not what this. I know not what this is, but I do not think it's best to leave something like this behind us. I say we deal with it one way or another.
And Halmar would look at Corval. He said, you spoke of the War Makers. I've never seen one before, but is this thing similar somehow to that? What did you mean by that?
Kind of eye him as he says this. And I say, oh, well, I mean, that was a whisper, by the way.
Oh, never mind. Let's cut that then.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. I look at Tor as he's like saying he wants to destroy this thing. And I say, primarily, these things are not easily destroyed. And secondly, this is something that needs to be studied, not broken. Do I know of a power source that we could potentially disable it so it can't be used? But they won't destroy it.
You don't know anything about this. None of you know anything about this. You've never seen anything like it. You can investigate it. You can check it out. You can fiddle, but that's up to you.
I would investigate it, like go over it in detail as quickly as I could.
How?
And I'm asking Halomar for his experience with it as well as I'm doing this. Like what happened? What did it do to you, basically?
And as you're doing that, Boz, where are you? What are you doing? You've kind of been quiet in this cave. Are you just taking in the bleak, like you were saying?
I hear these words, Tom Hearts, War Makers. I see this shell of what I perceive to be a real living threat to, yes, my friend, Halamar. But now it is a shell. I know nothing of these Tom Hearts or War Makers or any of this. I don't know what any of this is. I don't know what to make of this. I know how to kill monsters that breathe and bleed. I don't know what to do with a shell of a monster. And so I will rely on my more knowledgeable friends.
Okay. Razir.
So Razir would definitely go up and start looking at this. And, well, my people are all about performance, and performing takes actions, and it obviously takes some type of performance to run this thing. Let's see if we can't disable the controls, at least. Maybe we can't remove a power source, but we can obviously see inside of it. So what are investigating the inside, I guess?
Okay.
Or like, what do I see inside it? It's obviously wide open.
You see wires. You see kind of, it looks like almost like pneumatic rams. You see some things, you just, it looks like a construct. It looks like a metallic, but at the same time, it's more mechanical than it is arcanic. It's a weird kind of hodgepodge of it. And tell me, Razir, are you touching it as you're investigating?
All right, let's. I'm rolling for it. So odds yes, evens no.
Okay.
And it was even, so no, I'm not touching it. I'm just detailingly looking at the entire inside.
Okay.
But Koval would reach inside after he's done like looking at the little wires and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, just ruin that too.
As you guys are close, and Koval goes in there, and as you're kind of pointing everything out, Koval reaches in, and he just with one finger touches the metal, and as it does, you see this construct. Instead of its legs being buckled, it stands up completely, and you see the chest cavity, and you hear, and then you see that head kind of lamp light eye thing look directly down at you. Roll for initiative.
Oh, fetch.
All right. Are you freaking kidding me?
I did want to destroy it beforehand.
The first time I roll tonight, and I get a freaking 1.
It's not a bad position for a cleric.
Yeah, it's a 1 because I have 0 dex mod. So.
All right. So what's the order here? I still need Razir and.
I'm in there. 8. First one.
So I need.
Gonna go.
I will be sitting back, waiting for everybody to take their turn and planning.
It'll be okay. It'll be okay, Jake. Don't be grumpy. Okay, Bill. You go first, buddy.
All right. As this thing kind of activates, is it obviously seems like it's aggressive?
To you, yeah, absolutely. It closed up and it stood up and just started kind of looking at you. It looked rather menacing to you.
Okay, and I mean, he had already kind of wanted to destroy it, so he's going to yell, "I told you to destroy it!" And as he charges at this thing, he starts to feel that anxiety that had been building up earlier, and now faced with this again, his vision goes red as he kind of yells this war cry as he raises a small going into a rage and swings. Really? And I'll miss. Now is a 7 plus whatever is still not good enough.
Okay, so you swing at this thing, it almost surprises you, and you just kind of use your maul, but you're not set, and you do swing and miss. Next is Ty. What is Koval going to do?
Koval stumbles away from this thing, and he just like shouts like "by the bleak" as he falls backwards away from this thing. And I kind of gain my footing again as I'm looking at it, and it's looking at me, kind of its yellow lamp forehead locking with my eyes, and me locking my gaze with it. And I kind of just shake my head, hold my hand to my side, and my sword appears, my great sword. And I kind of just like shake my head like such a waste, and I charge this thing. I will attack it once. I'm aiming to not destroy it. I kind of just want to incapacitate it.
Okay.
So that I can, so they can be studied later.
Okay, roll for him.
That is, oh man, I kid you not. That is a freaking nat 20.
That's the same dice from last night, from the other
That's
night.
not it. Right there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, straight up. That's the dice from last night.
Okay. All right, so
how do you do your nat 20s? What do you want? Is it just roll, add a modifier, and then double?
yeah.
Okay. So 3 plus 4 plus 3, 10, 20 damage.
Okay. Where do you hit it? What does this look like?
I see this thing kind of stand up, and it surprises me. I fall back. And I imagine that Tor's swing kind of like shakes it a bit. And as I come around, I hit its knee, causing it to stumble even more to the side, hoping to maybe get it to lose its footing and fall over. Hopefully it can't get up very well.
Okay. Well, you absolutely hurt it. It has not fallen over yet, though. It just kind of dents that metal there with this sword, and it buckles slightly, but it doesn't go down. Scott.
All right, so to start out with, you definitely like stumble backwards as this thing mechanically started to move itself. And Halmar, I take it, is probably up and standing.
Barely, yeah.
As a free action, can I like toss him the buckler and like a possible weapon? I'm checking before I do it if that can happen. No,
I think this is too surprising. You wouldn't have a chance. No.
Okay, so then as he backs up, you're going to see him, and he's like, well, this is absolutely lovely. And he takes the rapier, and he's going to, improvising his style of bardic feats, he takes the rapier and he scrapes it up the teeth of this saw, so it makes this awful, like, grinding, and he's using that sound to cast Bane.
Okay.
On this creature, and it has to make a charisma saving throw, beat a 12, and if it fails, anytime it makes an attack roll or a saving throw, it has to roll a d4 and subtracts that from that number.
Roll the 19.
Damn it.
Okay.
As my bonus action, I will use my bardic inspiration to inspire Tor. So you get a d6.
Okay, Brian. You don't have any weapons. You have 2 levels of exhaustion. What would you like to do?
Are any of my companions injured?
No, not yet.
So I'm going to kind of like get behind Tor. Like I'm in a fighting stance, but it's more like a defensive fighting stance because obviously I'm getting ready to dodge if something comes after me, and I'm gonna ready in action if Tor like basically gets injured. I'm going to use lay on hands on him.
Okay. You are ready. Jake, see, that didn't take long.
Boz does not like that this thing has now come to life. The last time he saw this thing, it appeared to kill Alamar, but at the very least it left him weak and defenseless. And I summon this bubbling below the surface bleak energy that I feel. And I just reach within me and channel it all towards this as I scream out, Voldenia Viak! And a beam of energy, just purplish with red lightning shattering around it, cracking around it, streaks towards this thing. Are you freaking kidding me? That's a 9.
That is not going to hit, sir.
But he misguides it. And instead of hitting this large construct, he kind of scatters it around and upwards into this cave. Lightning dancing off of the stone rather than the construct. Waste of spell slot.
And the construct, now it's the construct's turn. He's going to do two things. Number one, you're going to see him the construct kind of takes its hands out to the side, and you're going to see it go to the center. And when it does that, it's going to cast Thunder Wave. And I need everybody. Let's see. Let me check the save. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm going to need everybody to give me a con save, please. Okay.
Can I sacrifice my save to get in the way of the weakened Halomar to maybe take the blow for him?
Sure, absolutely. Okay, anybody who did not save, meaning if you did not get above a 10, I'm sorry, not a 10. I apologize. No. If you got above a 10, you saved. If you didn't, you took 12 damage. If not, if you saved, you took 6. Who did not get that?
I'm dead.
You're dead?
Yep. I had 8 hit points.
Yeah, I had 8 too. I'm down.
I foregoed the save to protect you from it.
Yeah, he saved you, Halmar. He took the damage for you. But you take 11 damage, Koval, force damage, and you're also pushed back 10 feet into Halomar. So you kind of get messed with him and kind of trip over each other. But Raz is down at the foot of this. And the other thing he's going to do, this construct is going to reach its left hand out towards Ryan, and you are going to see his fist, this metallic fist, shoot out and grab Ryan, and it's going to be connected to a chain on the inside. And as it grabs him, he is going to be pulled directly to where that construct is. He's not going to take any damage, but he is pulled right next to it. Tor, your turn.
Yeah, I am one. Question: did 10 pass, or did it have to be an 11?
No, 10 passed.
Okay, because you said above a 10, so I was just double checking.
Mm-hmm.
So -6. All right. Yeah, Tor's, fueled his rage now. I mean, his hatred for this is definitely proven, and he can't focus. So he's just gonna, Jesus, Lord in heaven, miss again.
You
have inspiration.
Oh, I will save it because that was a 4, which puts me in an 8, which means I would really have to roll well to hit this thing.
Okay, Ty.
Seeing it grab Ryan now, I kind of look down at Halomar and kind of just give him a nod. And I sprint back over to the fight. And I kind of just shake my head like crap. Like I said, I didn't want to damage this thing. And I raise my greatsword over my head, and I want to chop this thing's hand off if I can.
Okay, roll for me.
14.
That does not hit.
Okay. I feel like I bring it down and it just clings uselessly off the metal.
Scott, I need a death save, please.
A 12.
Okay, so that's successful. Awesome. Ryan, what would you like to do? Currently, you are just kind of standing there, pretty useless.
So you see Halimar, he kind of got like bowled over. Like he didn't take any of the attack, but it still knocked him down. He kind of scrambles on his hands and his knees, and then like slides over next to Razir, and he's going to like put his hands against Razir's chest and flood him with divine magic to heal him for 5 hit points.
Okay.
And he says, as like I imagine Razir like kind of takes a breath and like comes back to. He's like, you're not done fighting yet, my friend.
Another blow like that, I don't know if I'm getting back up.
And as that happens, the construct puts its left foot forward, and it's from the hit that Koval did earlier. It's just not functioning right. The metal's bent, and it's not bending properly, so it's a little bit off balance. Boz, what would you like to do?
There we go. So initially, Boz turns to the fallen Razir, and he takes a step towards him, but he sees that Halimar has already gotten to him and has revived him. And he spins on his heel, and he kind of shakes his head at the last attempt to strike this thing with this full force of the bleak. And he says a quick prayer to this entity. And he cries out again, Voldenia Viach! And this time, that's going to be a 17 as he sends this bolt of energy towards this construct.
That hits.
And that is going to do 4d6 of radiant damage.
Awesome.
As this guiding bolt hits for 11 points of radiant damage.
Where does it hit?
And where does it hit?
Yeah.
Dead center.
Okay.
And it actually causes, when it hits this radiant energy, this red lightning, like the lightning of a bleak storm, actually begins to arc and dance across the copper of this thing. And it will grant the next attack against it has advantage.
Well, as this hits, not only does that electricity arc, and it almost looks like it shorts out part of this construct. And because its left leg is not functioning properly, the force of that hit also pushed it back slightly, and it can't compensate with that left leg. So what you see is this, 9.5, 10-foot tall metal construct almost, fall like a tree, flat on its back, just slowly, as that electricity is arcing, it tries to catch itself, but it can't, and falls flat on its back. What would you like to do?
I think Koval at this point would start to shout, "Go, go, go!" They would have heard that thunderclap.
What do you guys want to do?
You came here for something. And if they heard, they'll get to the cave before we can get out. It's more defensible.
And I shake my head and I say, we have nothing in here, no rations. They'll just starve us out.
I don't believe this big man is going to let us just walk out of here. It's going to be a fight on the way out, and they will meet us at the door, and we will be locked between two forces.
I say, but you've seen how slow this thing moves. And I grab Ryan from it, and I quickly stand him to his feet.
We've gotten lucky so far. Look at that thing. It's made out of strong metal. We don't have any weapons capable of piercing it any further. We should go. We should run as fast as we can and get out of here.
Ryan would agree with Halamar that we need to get out. We don't need to be here. We need to go.
And as I pull Ryan away from his hand, do I see that glyph on its hand?
You do. You absolutely do.
It stops me. It halts me for a second. And I take a brief moment to memorize what it looks like, study it. And then I start pushing Ryan to go as this thing probably tries to get to its feet.
Okay. What about the rest of you?
By Dragongrin, we must run. As much as I would love to see this thing put down, we must attempt to save ourselves. And he would start moving towards the exit.
Okay, so is everybody going to go towards the exit?
I hate to do this, but I don't think Tor would. I think he was still in this rage, and he is going to turn and swing at this this construct.
Okay. Make your roll.
That one would be a 21 to hit.
That hits.
And 8, 10, 12 points of damage.
Okay, where does it hit?
I think he's just so upset. He turns and swings almost blindly, and I think it would hit like square in the chest, as that's like the easiest target for him.
Okay.
And it would probably like dent it a little bit.
Okay.
As he slams into it. Just
and as you do this with this big kind of maul, you know this thing's kind of floundering on its back, and just the sheer force of that, you just see it kind of just stop for a moment. You just hear do do do, and at that point the chest opens up again. Everything is open again, and again remains silent and motionless.
Does it look like Vider's going to hit it again, the Tor?
yeah, it would probably definitely look like he's ready to just keep going at it.
I just shake my head and I say, blessed. And I use Charm Person on him.
Okay. What does he need to say? Wisdom or charisma?
It's Wisdom save, DC 14.
Go for it, Bill.
Doesn't matter. I rolled a 6, and whatever my modifier is not enough to get there.
So the way this works, I see him like raging, like about to hit this thing again. I walk up, I jump in front of him, look him dead in the eyes, and I slap him across the face as hard as I can. All the while speaking this incantation, and it leaves this mark, like almost like a sun mark that just fades immediately. And I say, "Run now."
Tor will turn and run, unable to like control himself. Like his mind is in a rage still. He's still upset, and the slap didn't help. Like he wanted to respond to it, but his body has no control as your magical incantation is able to overcome his rage and force him to run.
So as Tor brings up the rear, Ryan is of course in the front with Halamar, and as everyone's running, you come to the mouth of the cave, and just as you get out, you notice what looks to you like the entire village. The entire village is there, and the goblin chief says, "You have nowhere to run. What have you done?" Would anybody respond?
We've destroyed your power hold. Your little mechanical machine is no more.
He smiles. I highly doubt that. You might have heard it. A little bit more power. He'll be fine. You, on the other hand, won't be so lucky. and he looks at all of them. They're probably a solid 50 yards away, beyond the other side of the little lake. And he says to his to all the mongrel men that are there, in some, that guttural animalistic voice, he says, "Jar!" And they all start charging. What would you like to do?
So
Poop my pants.
at this point, I think Koval comes running around the corner. Seeing this, he sprints past them towards them. How big back are these lines? Like, how thick is their line of men, of mongrel men?
You couldn't get through them. You could go left or right, but you could not go straight through them. There's too many. There's probably 50 or 60 after you.
So what I do then is I come running past them towards the left, and I just yell over my shoulder, "Follow me." And I'm going to cast Burning Hands towards the ground to create like a firewall.
Okay.
Just to stop their advance, to give us a chance to sprint ahead of them.
Okay. So you want to point it at them and then run the other way?
Basically, just like create like when firefighters build like a firewall so the fire like can't get into an area, like kind of like that. Like I'm burning the ground intentionally.
Okay.
So that it's like a raging fire starts to burn between us and them.
Okay. That's fine. I mean, it's not going to be a big raging fire. There's not a lot there, but that's fine. You can absolutely buy yourself some time as you run by.
And we run.
So yes. You guys run. And Koval, where would you be taking them? I mean, you know this island.
So based off where they've told me where they landed, I know exactly where they were for their boat. So I go in that direction, but I lead them down this gully almost. That it becomes smaller and smaller and smaller as these cliffs grow up along the side. Like this tight ravine that they won't be able to follow us through as a large group. They'll have to file in one by one.
Okay.
And I'd lead them through that back towards the beach.
Okay. Yes, Ryan's absolutely with us. You guys would do that, and the mongrel men would be close behind, probably 30 feet, maybe 50, as you go down into this gully. And you get through kind of this pass at kind of its smallest point. And at this point, Koval starts to slow down. You guys know from where you are where your boat is. You know that it's only another minute to get there. And Koval stops. And Ryan notices that Koval stops, and he's like, "What are you doing? Come with us. What are you doing?"
And I look at him, and I say, buying us time. I say, "How many messengers does it take to deliver a message?" Only one.
Yeah.
And I turn back, and I look at this goalie, and I see them. I summon my broadsword, and I toss it behind me toward my greatsword, and toss it behind me towards him. And I say, "For my son, you give that to him. You swear it to me, Ryan."
He just kind of shakes his head and goes, "Okay."
And I look at him, and I quickly approach, pulling like a sharp rock off the ground, and quickly, just like before he can protest, I carve that symbol into his forearm, and I say, "You show this to Reg."
He's trying to pull his arm away, like ow, 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 like not having a chance. It just happened too quick.
And I turn back and look as they're raging down towards them. And I look over my shoulder towards the group of them. And I say, "Sundara Compris." And I raise my hands. And you see these lines start to spread up my body. It almost looks like through my veins. And they fill in the cracks of the sun. And my body is ablaze with copper light. And I just smile and just shake my head. And I say, "And I thought I was going to see my daughter again." And I raise my hands and I grasp, like not onto anything, but then I pull. And the walls start caving in and bunching together into this compact wall. And then I just reach out and I grab the wall and I twist my hands as if I'm holding it. And I look over my shoulder and I say, this is all the time I can buy you. Go.
And Ryan would see that and just shake his head, but know that he had to go, and he would continue going toward the boat. Would you guys go with?
Tor would, as he's kind of still heading by and sees all this, and he's never seen anything like this. This is totally out of his wheelhouse. But he will nod his head, realizing that there really isn't a better way. And he'll kind of clasp him on the shoulder and set the maul on the ground so that the handle's like standing up right next to Koval, and nod at him and run off towards the boat.
And the rest? Boz, Razir, Halimar?
With this action, Boz realizes there are forces at work here, greater or different, in addition to the gods, in addition to even the bleak. There's something else here at work, and Koval has it. And Boz doesn't understand it, but he knows that Koval is using it to help them. And with one last look over his shoulder, he will run for the boat.
And Razir?
Razir would, as he runs, it was an honor, sir. And using his last bardic inspiration, giving it to him kind of deal, hoping that he would survive as he left the mall. And he would look at Ryan as he ran. You have some explaining to do. This redeems quite a bit of you. And keeps running.
And as you guys grab this boat, and you from where you were, and you continue to go down to the gully, to the cove, you see up where he was, you see these veins of copper get brighter and brighter, and you just see him standing there with these two glowing tattoos on the back of his hand, with utilizing the copper bulwark boon as different things just come, to block this area, and you can just hear him just, and it all collapses onto him as this just flood of mongrel men come through with their spears and their swords, and you can just see that light, that copper light that was so bright, slowly fade.
Can I do something real quickly before the bulwark collapses?
Go ahead.
So I cast Thaumaturgy on myself, and I say the following, shouting it to everyone, that they can hear it. I say, honorable beyond honor, without compromise. Courageous beyond circumstance, without compromise. Unprejudiced and just, without compromise. Loyal unto death and beyond, without compromise. Ours is the unseen kingdom. We are its warrior kings. Sundera Compris, forever, without compromise. And I feel like I look down and say, sorry, Claire. It looks like you won't see your father again. And I shout over my shoulder as the bulwark collapses. I yell, be the change in the world that you wish to see, brethren. And then it collapses.
And you can still see, as it collapses, the light emanating from him. But as you get the boat in the water and start to just kind of get away, probably 100 yards off the beach, knowing that they're not going to get you, the last glimmer of light fades from Koval's body. And that's where we'll end this session.
Epic death, dude. Epic death.
Yeah.
I said this in the chat a minute ago. It honestly never even crossed my mind that Koval was a copper jackal.
Good. Then we did a good job.
It never even crossed my mind. I wasn't even thinking that way. And that was just badass.
I'm going to stop the broadcast, guys, but we're going to chat for a second. So we're just going to do a little see you later, guys. Again, this is Drake with the RPG Construct. This is session 2 of the Dragongrin Chronicles. I do want to thank DM Ty for coming in to add some life to Koval. I apologize for the first part of it being a little bit slow. We were supposed to jump right in with him, but I think we made it work. So thanks to all my players, Brian, Ty, Jake, Scott, and Bill. They did an amazing job. And I hope you all have a great night. You take care. If I can find my button. Ooh. There we go. And I think we're stopped. No, maybe?
It says live
Nope,
on
still
my
live.
screen. Button. Who stole the button?